Shabbat Shalom, LVE lineage and friends listening. On this so precious day of Shabbat, cold, yet very sunny and clear skies from California, the US of A, we'll study yet another chapter of the Bride of Yeshua, 48, Yahweh Ekhad, 27, the New Medicine, 9. And with this one, I believe we are closing a cycle. It doesn't mean that I won't ever speak again about the new medicine. Whenever I see fit, I'll speak about the new medicine again, so then this will be left open for whenever I see fit of another chapter of the new medicine. Of the new medicine, it is something that we still learn every day about, so then it's rather something very profound that can be developed on a permanent basis, but I believe that I've been given at great strokes and very widely the true knowledge of this great truth in medicine. Today is Shabbat, the 14th of Kislev, of the year 5987 in our best estimation. This corresponds to the 22nd of December of the year 2018 in the Gregorian Catholic calendar. And we are only 2 days away from Christmas Eve, 3 days away from Christmas directly. Everybody and their brother, especially the US of A, America, is getting ready, buying things, getting ready to celebrate Christmas, the Mass of Christ, or Christmas, or the arrival of Papa Noel or Santa Claus. It is always welcome, according to them, the so-called Christmas spirit. We are living Shavuot 71st. It is the first year after Israel accomplished 70 years. And today is Shabbat 26th. It is a time that is very propitious in order for Yahweh to set into march the last prophecies of the Bible. If there is a special time that's better, it'd be the first year after the 70th. It doesn't mean that it has to be the year of the true fulfillment of all the prophecies, but out of all, it is the best one, because if Jeremiah is any guide to us, where it says once it is fulfilled, once they are fulfilled, so then precisely they have been fulfilled, so then the first period after the 70 years are up, then that would be, which I understand, but maybe I'm very wrong, the most propitious time and ideal. But it is not my plan. It is Yahweh's plan when he does whatever he pleases. And in the time that he pleases, and he did give us a guide, give or take, and that guide, give or take, is pretty precise, but not exact, because precisely he told us that we could not exactly know the day and the hour. So then, that's why we are here. It doesn't matter, really, to know the day or the hour. But if we know that we're in the propitious time, this year after the 70th is very, very, very propitious. And this year, the 70th, the 71st, rather, ends precisely in Shavuot. Shavuot would go into 72nd. So then we're in a very interesting time. Let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yeshua that art in heaven, we give you thanks for this precious day, for life, and for being able to comprehend, study your word. I ask you, Lord, that your spirit be in every one of us, and that you prepare us for your soon return. All this, Lord, I ask you for, and I ask you that what we learned today we can practice and put into practice, for they are tools that really help us to get over this whole emotional burden that we carry since our parents or grandparents, and for ourselves always. All this I ask you for and thank you for in your precious name, Yeshua HaMashiach. Alleluia. The Lord has granted one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Miguel Ángel Vergara Calderón, Colombia; Emmanuel Montero, Spain; Embelsa Mercedes Barrientos, Guatemala; Gina Marcela Sopo Corredor, Colombia; Pedro Ceballo, the Dominican Republic; Naomi Hernandez Cortez, Colombia. Many blessings to every one of you, and if I missed one of you, I'll mention you next Shabbat, and all of you who like for me to mention you as a part of this lineage of the Eternal Truth, that is, if I've mentioned you or I haven't ever, give me your name, your date of birth, and I will add you to the list. Very well. I'd like to present to you a model that will always be here. It is a representation of the earth in which we live in. Elohim made a flat earth, and he put a dome over it in which it is impossible to get out of. And all the stars, the sun and the moon, are within that dome. So then when they tell us and we hear in Babylon's propaganda that we can go to the exterior space, we cannot go to any exterior space because we are locked in within this dome. One day Yahweh will remove the dome. He says he will roll it up like a book precisely, and he will do his work. And the exact dimension of the earth or the form, we do not have it. We use Gleason's map. We know that it has some errors of dimension and all the rest. But tell the truth, since we don't have a better one, and since we cannot be traveling all over the place so that we can make a map ourselves, this is a simple representation of creation of Yahweh. Very well. So then we will have this symbol so that you know precisely that we believe in it. From the questions that you have asked me during the week, well, we talked about a very special subject last Shabbat, and rather, since it was to be expected that we're going to have questions and comments and affirmations of things that are not well understood, according to some people, that they are not able to grasp what I said, that they see Elohim as an absolutely perfect being that has nothing to learn, nothing to develop, no experience to go through. So then they see him as something that's absolutely perfect. And as long as we have that mission, we will not be able to comprehend the message that has been spoken of and we talked about on the previous chapter. Very well. Today I'll touch on a couple points of the previous subject, which is a subject that once you present it the way I presented it directly, you can start to read all the Tanakh once again, and you'll be able to notice that it's not that I'm going to give you a special text. It's all that way. I will touch on some at the end, but actually it is one after another, just like that, one after another of how we see how Yahweh acts. Very well. I'd like to show you, because also they have asked me if I use chains, because in some videos you have seen a little chain that was here. So then I'll show you that what is it that I have around my neck. We'll start with this. I can show you another one later. We'll start with this here. This is a silver chain. Well, no, not this one. Silver chain. And it has this medallion that it was a gift that says Yahweh Ekhad. Yahweh Ekhad. It is what we believe in. What does Yahweh Ekhad mean? This series is called Yahweh Ekhad. The bride of Yeshua, Yahweh Ekhad. What does Yahweh Ekhad mean? Yahweh Ekhad means that Elohim is one alone. It's not two, not three, not the Father and the Son at the same time, both of them working for us, that we have to love both of them, and then, no, it's just one alone. Absolutely, one alone. And this chain and the medallion is a gift, and rather, I'm very proud to wear this, because rather, it is what I believe. And the other thing that you saw here, is the flat earth. This flat earth, well, this is handmade. It is rather a very spectacular piece. Rather, I found it in a channel that I like a lot. The channel is... What is the name of the channel? Something TV. Well, I'll tell you the channel later. Flat Earth channel that I like the way he speaks. Well, this medallion is silver. This is silver. Made artfully, and it has a very slight bathe in gold. What it does is that when it starts to wear out, it has two tones, like a golden and a silver part, and it's very nice, very nice. So then I love this. Why do I have this? Why do I have this hanging from my neck? Because this represents what I believe. The creation of Yahweh. Yahweh is one alone, and this is the creation of Yahweh. Before you tell me no, because Yahweh said that no, do not make any image of what is above on earth. Well, this is not an image. This is the creation of Yahweh. I want you to understand it is what I believe in. In fact, this week, when I took this buying things with Leslie, a man that was nothing to do with me, absolutely, he wasn't even talking to me. He was far away from me, in a cashier, and then yells from me, you believe in flat earth? Just like that, with the smile on his, trying to ridicule me. So then directly where I was, I go directly and I draw near to him. I turned to where he was, and I faced the guy straight on. And I said, no, I don't believe in the flat earth. I know that the earth is flat, which is different. Because I have specific proofs that the earth is flat. To believe is to put your faith into something that you don't know whether it exists. Believe in God. Any Catholic can say he never seen him. So then to believe is one thing, to know is another. You don't believe that you have a car in the garage. You know whether you have a car in the garage. You don't believe whether you have a wife. You know that you have a wife if you're married. So then to believe and to know, I don't believe in the flat earth. I know that the earth is flat, period. That is proofs. And the guy was just like that. And I told him, if you'd like to be deceived by television and everything, I found that perfectly well. Absolutely magnificent. But if you want to know more, look in Google, look up in YouTube, Flat Earth, and look the quantity of videos there is. He didn't say anything else. With a smile, it was out of his face. It was disappeared completely, his smile. And if he followed me and continued to ask me, I would answer him again, because people were looking at me all over the place. So then a symbol like this, of course, wakes up attention. It wakes up attention. So then, well, there you have it. What I believe in. Oh, I brought this. It's kind of expensive, okay? This is kind of expensive. I'm going to tell you, it's not cheap, okay? This is expensive. Because it's silver, because it's handmade. The guy made, I believe, that 50 of these, just only that. So then they're custom made, but there's a limited number of these. But that doesn't matter. You don't have to have one just like this one. But what was the channel? Odd TV, yeah, Odd TV. It's a channel that I love. It's an American guy. ODD Reality. It's TV, right? At the end. ODD Reality. I find it as ODD TV. Look it up if you want to. It's a guy. Or reality. Okay. Odd DD Reality. It's a guy that believes in the flat earth. That knows the flat earth. And he talks about it there. I like it. It's in English. I like it. There are things that I don't share with him. But I like the way that he presents and edits the videos. He is Christian, of course. what he talks about is flat Earth, and I saw it and I loved it. Absolutely, I loved it. Very well. So then, you already know what I wear, what I have, what I believe. There's another one that I haven't shown you, but it's a Torah, a golden Torah that's precious, that has the high symbol, which is that of life. Very precious, but I'm not wear all three things at the same time, obviously. But I like it. It's something that I'd rather love. Very well. Just for those who asked me, let us repeat this again. We're 2 days away from Christmas. In your house, somebody will celebrate. Those who have the advantage, without the influence of family members, the Babylonian family, without that influence, you are free, because of course you're free. But if you live with your mom, your dad, with your brothers, somebody that believes in it, then you are doomed to have to live with it. Yeshua was not born on the 25th of December. Yeshua has nothing to do absolutely with the feast of Christmas. Christians will say, and they will always say, it doesn't matter whether he was born there or not. It is a feast in which we remember Yeshua's birth. Very well. I'm also not going to condemn all those who celebrate Christmas, obviously not. I'm not here to judge anyone. I believe, but I judge Christmas itself. But we'll talk about that later on. There is time still for the true Hanukkah. There is time, but Hanukkah begins already. Hanukkah is already beginning, but precisely it ends on the 31st of December. It calls my attention. Hanukkah ends with the year, so then it is very interesting. Will something happen? Well, I don't know. It does not depend on me whether something happens. Actually, it does not depend on me. It depends on Yahweh, but those are interesting dates, very interesting. Shemah Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Yahweh is one alone. I'm not a doctor in medicine. I don't have any official title. Today I will teach some practices that are rather fabulous in order to eliminate certain things. Pay attention. I will do this as best as possible to explain it. I know that there's a lot of information online, but not in the way that I will teach it. So then online, it is very soft, very light. I will teach in a very complete way certain paths that we have to take in steps. It depends on you, rather. The result. It does not depend of the tools that I will teach. It depends on you. The result depends on you. It's like if I give you a rifle, which is very precise, but if you do not know how to aim, and you say, well, it's no good. Well, the rifle is good, but you don't know how to aim. And what I'm about to teach depends on you only, whether it'll be effective or not. But if you have an ailment, something hurts, go to the doctor in order to give you a treatment, because I am a doctor or anything of the sort. What I'll teach you is just hobbies so that you practice and so that you learn certain things that you can eliminate very easily, things that you fought over all your life with, possibly. Okay, let's review since it's last subject. The 5 laws that were placed by Reiki Gear Hammer, which I baptized him as Moses Hammer. Why? Because there's a lot of things that are absolutely parallel to Moses. Notice that Hammer placed 5 laws. Moses wrote 5 books. That's interesting, very interesting. Moses wrote the laws, and Hammer wrote the laws also. Not what he thought, the laws. They are laws. So then, actually, there is a similitude that's parallel, that's very great between Moses and Hammer. The first law, which Hammer will give us, is the law of iron, of cancer, or of every sickness that's onco-equivalent, which is equivalent to cancer, whichever it might be. Which precisely it starts with a biological shock, That's unexpected. That grabs you with the wrong foot. If you're waiting for it, it grabs you in a different way. It could be very subtle. You didn't even notice that you had a DHS. You saw an attitude, a scene, and immediately it altered you, and you didn't even notice that you had a DHS or enormous DHS that you do notice of events that you don't even know how to resolve. So then they could be great or small. You live it in solitude, and sometimes when you don't notice that you lived it, or you lived it in solitude, it's very subtle, very subtle. How is this lived in solitude, and how can it be subtle? Well, you're kicked back one day, and you're at home with your wife, and you go and have a meal. Everything's very romantic, and they knock at the door, and it's your mother-in-law, for example. And you know that your mother-in-law always has a bad vibe. If she had a good vibe, she'd be welcome, but she comes with a bad vibe. So you look at her, and you're like, oh, no. That's a small shock that maybe you don't tell your wife so as to not hurt her or to not have a bad vibe. You use a good face. You say, oh, hi, grandma, or mother-in-law, rather. You know you're angry inside, but you give her a kiss, and then every day you're upset because she was there all day, and then she leaves. So then what happens? You have a DHS. Then later, according to how you lived it, according to what sensation you had, you could have a simple cold to a tremendous bronchitis. So it depends on how you live it, but you didn't even notice that you had a DHS. You didn't even notice it, even to talk about it, because you had her there, you let her come in, it got you upset. Everything was very, very fast, so then it gives you a small DHS, precisely. Anything can, if you suffered it with anger, and then you had a stone in the liver, and rather that stone, then we can get it out with a cleansing. But if you had it, you had it. The only way to avoid it is to say, what are you doing here, mother-in-law? Are you bothering us so early? So then you get your anger out, you express it, you don't live it in solitude. The mother-in-law can look at you upset. Doesn't matter if she looks at you upset. She could say all kinds of insults or nothing, and that's it, it's over. And then you have the day they're happy and kick back because you told the mother-in-law, thanks for bothering us. It came to bothering us, and it was in the time of bothering us. But since you're the mother of my wife, then come in. Something like that. I don't know. You can say whatever you want. But if you keep that anger and you fake it, you go into incoherence, and that incoherence, then you have the sickness. Then you say, why did I get a cold? I always have a cold. Why do I have cough? Why am I coughing? The tortilla you ate. No, it was not the tortilla you ate. It was something else. Now, if the tortilla is recorded as real, then of course every time you have a tortilla, it's as if you saw your mother-in-law coming in, because when you saw her coming in, you had a tortilla in your hand. So then precisely you looked at her face, and precisely you were eating a piece of tortilla, and that's it. Every time you eat tortilla from now on, your brain says, your mother-in-law is in front of you. Even if the mother-in-law already died, you see the same DHS repetitively, because it's a rail, and that the body triggers that, and then you have all types of allergies. And of course, exactly, the one that saw the medallion, she did not know she would have a reaction like that. I was somewhere else, and I went directly to the guy. And to tell the truth, I was very kind, but that attitude left him like that. Well, of course, he was not expecting that attitude. I was not aggressive, which is very different. Of course, I was not aggressive. I was very sympathetic. Very well. But maybe that influenced for him to go and watch videos. Who knows? I said, there's no need for you to believe in this. You just have to see what we say about this. That's it. Then afterwards, you can have a judgment on whatever you want to believe. What do we say about this? This is what you need. But it's nice to have something like this. Something that you can show like this, and you wear it with pride. The people look at you because I wear it like this. The people look at it. It calls people's attention. some older guy. It calls their attention because they don't know whether I'm Arab, Jewish. Here in the U.S., with this beard like that, you don't know what they are. I don't know where that ended up. Or I'll grab another. Many thanks, many thanks. So then this calls people's attention, and I leave it here. It calls people's attention because I believe in the flat earth. But I put it in your face. In your face. So then it shocks you like that. You look at it like that. Someone else asked me, what does that mean? What is this? What do you think this is? I said. I started the conversation like that. When you tell me what you think this is. He says, I don't know. He looked at me. I don't know. That looks like America. And if it's America, then what is this? He was thinking like that. He says, I don't know. I had to explain to him. But it called his attention. It surely did. He says, what is that? What is that you have here? Okay, very well. There it goes. Flat earth. Flat earth is what we know of. If you believe it, is because you have doubts. You have doubts. It's as if to say, I believe that my husband is faithful. For example, a lady could say, I believe, but I have doubts. These doubts, I think it'll rain. And there's no certainty that it's going to rain if you say, I believe it's going to rain. Different thing than say, I know that it'll rain. Then to know advances a lot farther. A lot further. He says, I think I'm believe. I think? That's weird. It's like, I think either you're Argentinian or not, or you're Mexican or not. What do you mean I think? I think I'm Jewish. It says, this guy thinks, no, I know that I am. I know that I am Israelite, for example. And you also. If you believe, it's not going to take you anywhere. You have to know it very well. So then, we're in the first law. The first law, there is a shock, and that shock is unexpected. It could be acute or not so acute, depending. Lived in solitude, you don't tell anyone, or the mother-in-law or the wife or anyone, you live in solitude and you'll find the solution, because in the example that I gave you about the mother-in-law, what solution did you have? She ruined your day, the food. You were going to have, sex with your wife, and then you had your mother-in-law. I mean, everything got all fucked up. Then what happened? She ruined everything. Then there's no apparent solution. So then you have a cold, bronchitis, a stone, things like that. Very well. Second law. Every special program, which he called an SPS, which is a special program with a biological sense, is developed always in two facets, but always as long as there is a solution to the conflict. So then the sickness or SPS has two phases, an active one and a curation or healing part, a cold part, which is the first one, and a hot one, which is where the pain is, where there is inflammation, when one feels very badly, and where the people discover that they are sick when they're in the stage of healing, because the first stage generally is asymptomatic. It does not present symptoms, but once we get to a solution to the conflict and we get into the solution of the conflict in the hot part of the sickness, that is when we feel inflammation and all the mycobacteria starts and the fungi to work in there. We notice that we are sick, but we were sick before. This is the solution of the conflict. Very well. And depending on the mass, conflictive mass, which is precisely the level of the DHAs and the level of time that it lands, that'll be the conflictive mass of healing. As long as there's no rail, that when we're about to get healed, there is a rail, and then once again it brings us to healing, and we go into vicious cycle, and those are the sickness called chronic. That one never heals because one day something hurts, and then when you think that you're healed, something started to hurt, and it was inflamed, and we always exit and we enter again. Those are the repetitive rails. We can never complete the circle or the program completely of the SPS. The third biological law talks to us about, Dr. Hummer talks to us about that every sickness or SPS responds to the three embryonic layers, original ones, that with time they are developed in our brain, which would be the endoderm, mesoderm, and the ectoderm. Those three are divided into two because we could call the old brain and the new brain, and depending on the layer that controls the organ, that precisely will tell us whether in the cold phase something will grow, the organ will grow, or if in the cold phase it'll ulcerate, or whether there will be a dysfunction, an organic one, and then afterwards its other part in order to go back to its normality. So then, depending what organ we're talking about and of what embryonic layer, which are the three layers of the brain that we're talking about. We've studied all that. I'm just reviewing. That's why I'm not explaining it a lot more, because you already know this. And if you don't know it, then start to watch this in chapter 1, and you'll understand everything that I'm talking about. The fourth biological law talks about how all the bacteria, fungi, mycobacteria, and even the viruses, if they exist, work in our favor. Even if it's incredible or contrary to all of medicine, all those microorganisms come to help us to repair or to destroy all types of material that we no longer need. If a cancer was grown, the active phase, because we're talking about the old brain, when we get to the solution of the conflict, then we have the mycobacteria or the fungi to eat all of that, to eat it and decompose it and eliminate it, precisely to empty that as a cleansing of a garbage can, to cleanse all that. In order for us to go back to normality, it is needed. If there's no mycobacteria in the organism or fungi for that type of tissue, then the organism has no other choice than to encapsulate, and it's left there forever, as long as we are alive. If we had some type of microbacteria, instead of encapsulating it and having it in our body, it destroys it and eliminates it. Simple as that. That's what the fourth law talks about. Very well. The fifth law, which is the fifth essence, is based actually in the biological sense of sicknesses, the what for. Why do I have this? We go back to the example. Why do I have bronchitis? Or I had a tremendous flu. What for? To show you that there is a problem of incoherence in you. When you saw your mother-in-law, instead of saying, "Lady, today is not a day to visit. Go back home." Or if you enter into my house, I don't even want to hear you. Don't tell my children anything, or whatever problem you have with your mother-in-law, the example that I gave. Since you didn't say any of that, you entered into incoherence. So then the sickness comes to show you your incoherence. It comes out. What we don't talk about, the body talks about it for us. The body, which is the mirror of the soul, the reflection of the soul, yells out what we do not say. So then when we shut something in, something will yell. Since you didn't yell at your mother-in-law, your body yells at you. Since you didn't yell at your mother-in-law, somebody will listen. So then if we are intelligent enough to detect this and learn from that, what happens? What happens is a miracle, that when we once again find our mother-in-law, I know that if I don't say anything, I'll just smile, I'll get a flu, so then I'll intervene and say, "Look, lady, let's do something." Things are as follows. For example, it happens at every level. We're talking about your boss, we're talking about your brother, we're talking about whatever, your neighbor or whatever. So then there you learn for yourself, in order to for you not to suffer or your body suffer or express what you feel, then you have to learn to really manage situations in a coherent way. Well, that's as far as Hammer got, but I added 2 more laws which I find absolutely in accordance and fundamental to what Hammer was talking about. The 6th law is Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Listen, O Israel, Yahweh, your Elohim, Yahweh is one alone. One alone, not two, not three. We do not come from the monkey or evolution. That's why this law is so important, because Hammer had an evolution mind, but we have to revert that. We who actually believe in Yahweh, then we have to notice as a law that we don't come from evolution, that we have a creator. With that law fixed, you notice how it's fundamental. It's fundamental because all who teach the new Germanic medicine, all of them are people that believe in evolution, not us. We believe in the 5 laws, but which were created, not developed by time. Not that in time we were learning millions of years ago when we came out of water, we noticed that we needed kidneys in order to control water. No, it didn't happen that way. We were programmed. Exactly. Precisely. All that talk about evolution cannot prove that. That's not a law, but they base themselves that since there's no creator, one way or another, we develop ourselves those programs. So then, when we develop them ourselves, they invent everything that is evolution. When we see we came out of the water from as fish, or then we need kidneys, we need to control the water, and blah, blah, blah. That's where the 6th law for us, for the eternal truth, it's so fundamental just like the other 5. We may have to even change the order. I won't do it today, but the first law should be that one. That's the first law. That actually is so. That it's actually so. When Yeshua, they asked him, what is the most important commandment? Which did he mean? This one, Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. So then, this 6th law, I'll place them in Hammer's order, but it should be the first law. The 2nd law, which we have it as the 7th, the 2nd law is the inviolable and inevitable will of Yahweh, which is called predestination. No matter how much you take care of yourself from the DHSs, if Yahweh sends you one and he wants you to have it, you will have it, whether you like it or not. So then all that happens to us or happens to people, Yahweh has the control to intervene. That Hammer could not say. In biodecoding, you can see that, but you don't tell them that it is God, but rather it is a superior I. In biodecoding, they say that we're all connected to a superior I. If you want to believe that God is God, or if you think that it's Buddha, it's Buddha. If you want to believe that it's, I don't know, Mandinga, that's whatever you want. But that me, that superior me is what dictates the accidents and all the things. But since they don't want to call him Yahweh, they call him the superior me, or the collective subconscious is another phrase that they've used. We have an individual subconscious mind, but we're all in turn connected together as if it were a matrix. We're all connected to a collective subconscious. It's that superior ego. It's a stupidity. It's all Yahweh. It's all Yahweh. If we're connected, it is through Yahweh. And Yahweh is the one that decides many things for us. Yahweh does whatever he wants, chooses whom he pleases, and he takes away and puts the programs whatever he wants. And since the true birth itself, he designs us, he puts us in the time that he wants. There's a reason why we were born here, and we weren't born in the 2nd day of creation. There's a reason why we weren't born 100 years before the flood. That's good. And for some reason, we weren't born in the time of Israel or Jeremiah. He decides where we will be born. And that's what's marvelous. Once we know that there is a creator, that creator did not forget creation. He continues to create. He continues to create everything. And we who are a part of creation, he created us to live in this time, which is the best of all times. There is no other better time. This is the best one. The more there's deceit, the greater is the conflictive mass of deceit and sin. This is the best time to live in. Because it's the best time to test us what we are. Yes. The fifth law, there's always a what for. Exactly, a what for. And this is a what for of the above, not of a regular SBS, but of why am I alive? Why do I exist? Why was I born? Why was I born with the parents that I have? Why was I born in that familiar lineage that I have? That what for is in the seventh law of Yahweh, which should be the second one. It should be the second one, but you understand it perfectly well. This is in this Germanic medicine, we place it in that order. Very well. Coherence. Coherence, what is that? What I feel, what I think, and what I do, they are in a line. There's no contradiction there. That is what coherence is. So then I feel that my mother-in-law is invading my place. I'm going to the example I went. I mean, I could give you whatever example. I feel like my mother-in-law is invading my place. I feel and I think, I'm not going to tell her anything because I don't want to ruin it, or else I'll have problems with my wife because she defends the mother. Her mother, my wife, defends her, and every time I go a little bit against her, it's two against me. So then I think it's not convenient, I'm going to lose, so I'll shut up, and I do something else. That incoherence, it's a surety for SBS. Very well. We talk about how the biological subconscious is atemporal. It always lives in the present. It does not distinguish past, present, or future. That is very important in what I'm about to explain today, because not directly, I'm going to talk with the therapies directly today. And I want that in the therapies you pay a lot of attention. There's no need for you to understand everything now that I'm talking about live and direct. But when the video's there, pause the video and write down everything step by step. I don't want you to ask me all these questions and blow up my messages. Says, where did I have to press? How many little taps was it? No, pay attention because I'm going to give all this information. So then the biological subconscious mind is innocent. What do we call subconscious? That everything is fine to it. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is right. Nothing is better. Nothing is worse. Does not judge. It's according to whatever beliefs that I place there. But I have to add, this is the part of biodecoding. I have to add this, that sometimes it's not so innocent, our subconscious mind, since the moment in which Yahweh writes certain things in us. So then there are certain things that biodecoding does not understand. So then there are certain programs that we have that cannot be altered. It is kind of like saying, you see, like in computers, there's a part that is the BIOS, but is written. It's called BIOS, right? Which is written, and it's already written. I could turn the computer off. I could restart it and put whatever OS system, but it's still there. The new ones, now you can rewrite it. In the old ones, you could not rewrite it. And somebody was deleted, it would not work anymore. So then we work in that way also. If Yahweh gave us a program, that's why you're listening here. If you didn't have a special program, you would not be wasting time, like other people say that we're wasting time. There has to be something within us that calls us to listen to this. There could be something within you that calls you to listen to, I don't know, to Pope Francis. There has to be something. There has to be something. Because it can't be that just listening to this or Pope Francis wants Pope Francis. So then there has to be something within past, just the innocence of the subconscious mind. Very well. Right, there's other paths, more sanctified paths. There's other paths, so then they cannot contain themselves. They got to look for other paths. Those are written programs. They look for other paths, whatever it might be. Very well. It's all real for the subconscious mind. That is absolutely clear. That which is real is just like the symbolical thing. So then when I believe that I'm eating, or I talk about that I'm eating a lemon, my subconscious mind thinks that the lemon is real. If I have a lot of hunger and I imagine my preferred plate of food, I start to salivate, thinking that a plate's in front of me. My subconscious mind does not know that, does not know how to distinguish, So then, since it does not know how to distinguish, everything for the subconscious mind is real. So then when I see a movie, that aside from the proper story of the movie, aside from that, if there are hidden symbols in the movie, globes, no, there's a whole quantity. If you stop and think about every movie, there's Illuminati symbols, Mason symbols, all types in the movies, that sometimes you see them quickly, sometimes they're very obvious but we don't see them. Gestures, positions, numbers, there's all kinds of things in movies nowadays. All those symbols, how does our subconscious mind take them as real? Since Hollywood knows that, obviously, we are being programmed. It's not for a reason that they call them programs on TV. Programming, they program. So then when I watch TV, what's the programming for today? What are we going to watch? What is the program for today? And that is the program that they have for you today. So then TV programs you. They program you in an incredible way. We have broken away with all that because we already know that TV is really a piece of garbage. But people around us don't believe that. They think that newscasts are real when the newscasts are all lies. They're all false, fake news on a permanent basis. Precisely, there's only one owner of the newscast, who is a Zion, the wise men of Zion. They own all the newscasts. That's why they have a tremendous Illuminati symbol. But what do they do with those? They indoctrinate people. That is what happens. They give you true news and false news. But when they add all that, it's false. They create wars. They'd say that in Israel, for example, they say that in Israel you can watch videos where it says the Arabs shot up 200 bombs, and you see the images as kind of like explosions here in the air. They make you believe that the dome of Israel works in perfection, and they're just flying little fireworks. It's very strange, very strange. I'm not saying it's false. I'm just saying it's doubtful. Oh, because it's always at night. Why don't they show it during the day? Because during the day you could see. In fact, at night they should see what comes after the missile, how they shoot those are, and how they're intercepted. It's always at night, and it says, "Oh, there!" And it's all these explosions. Oh, it's the Iron Dome of Israel works well. Well, the only Iron Dome that there is that really seems to be crystallized is this one. The truth is that nobody gets out from here. Last time Yahweh opened a hole here, everything flooded. It's very easy to see if I open a hole here, and everything is flooded. The whole plane. Very well. So then, everything is real. Be very careful what you watch. Very careful. Do I recommend to watch TV? None. Zero. You can watch certain programs on TV which are a lot better. But you can do whatever you want. Absolutely whatever you want. Just know that if you're watching TV, you're being programmed through symbols that you don't even know about. All those things that turn one way or the other way. Notice that they've been studying human psychology for many years. They know how to program people. Why do you think that people are so easy to dominate? In other times they would have risen and turned everything on fire. Everything is so easy because they created zombies, absolutely zombies. Exactly, with the communication. Exactly. And there's a point, before I advance to the fourth one, there's a point that, do you remember when we talked about why there's so much cancer, and we talk about the media that we have today? All the connections in Facebook, what do they call all that? The social media. There's a point that I forgot to touch on. It was this one. The incoherence to show a picture fixed up in Photoshop So then I could have a face with pimples because I have devalued. I feel ugly. That's where you get pimples, because you feel ugly. But with Photoshop, I delete all that and I look, but with a skin that's spectacular. And you look at it, oh, how pretty you are, handsome. But if you saw the true, they're not pretty like that. So then what type of incoherence do you find in the people? And the people that did that, they lose even more value. Because when they read a comment, when they're commenting how pretty you are, and she knows that she's not pretty, the only thing that does is to make her lose even more value on herself, believe it or not, because they're deceiving others, but she does not deceive her, so she knows that she has all these pimples. Let's say she's a fatso like this. But she makes herself look skinny like that. You're going to see that everywhere. It's incredible the effect that you see when you see a girl by Facebook and then you see her in person. You say, oh, you're the same one? The same one I saw here. To top it off, there you have incoherence of drawing, touching the pictures, of editing the pictures. I'm not saying of adding light, or I'm talking about when there's a waistline like this, to make a waistline like this, of course. When directly there's no little waistline, we make the little waistline like this, and so then you look so much prettier. And of course the people say, oh, how skinny you are. You're so skinny. And it's all incoherence. You see? Well, that happens every time. Absolutely, all the time. Oh, don't even mention the false accounts. That is complete incoherence. I don't know about that. The radio's not on? Okay, the radio's not on. Very well. And the fourth point is, the others do not exist. It's all me. When something bothers me in others, who is it going to affect? Me. It's not going to affect the other. All the hate that you have. So then it affects me. So then the other one really does not exist. It is I, due to the hate that I generate, exactly. So then every emotion has to do with me. What I reject is I. What I admire is I. Very well. That we've talked about already. Let's read this text over again that I really love. Jeremiah 32, 36 through 41. In the DHH version that says, therefore Yahweh says as follows, Elohim of Israel, about this city, which, according to you, will fall in the hands of the king of Babylon due to the sword, hunger, and pestilence. I will gather them from all the countries where in my wrath, fury, and terrible anger I disperse them, and make them return to this place that they live assuredly. They will be my people, and I will be their Elohim. I will cause for there to be coherence. I will cause for there to be coherence between their thoughts and their conduct. It is what we have to get to today, so that they always fear me for their own good and that of their children. I will do with them an eternal pact. I'll never leave them alone to show them my favor. I will place my fear in their hearts. There is the new covenant. He says he's going to write it. I will put my fear in their hearts, and they will never draw away from me. Our own surety of not drawing away from Yahweh is that Yahweh changes the rules on us, the laws, the programs, exactly. I will rejoice in favoring them, and with all my heart and with all my soul, I will plant them firmly on this earth. So then, we need a reprogramming at a level of hardware level. That can only be done by whom? Yahweh. It can only be done by Him. You have to place this product again in the creating line where we were made, and change our program, and then we will work very well. That is precisely the new covenant. Now I'm going to talk to you about what they call laverdadeterna. Bio-targeting, it's like a target, this is a target you see here. But I'm going to talk about precisely, write this down, please, everything that I talk about this medicine, write it down, have your own guide, because it'll be difficult for you to learn. This is actually belongs to biodecoding, which is a step that it went past Germanic medicine. But this is so that you understand how the therapies that I'm about to teach will work. Very well, in this bio target, we have everything that is outside. We'll put it here. Acts or DHS, we could say. The acts or the DHSs that we could have in any time. All this is in the exterior of us. In the exterior. Very well. This will be like an onion. The layers of an onion. That we have to get to the interior of the layers of the onion. The first layer of them all, the first layer that already belongs to us, because the acts and the DHSs and the acts are outside from the exterior that come to me. But the first thing that it is I, which is you, everyone as a person, are the thoughts. And I'm going to put thoughts because they're very false all the time. Of course, they're real thoughts. So then they are thoughts, false thoughts, lying thoughts. The thoughts, which in Spanish already sound as lying thoughts. If I think about what happened, what did he do? Oh, my mother-in-law, those are false thoughts the whole time. False thoughts, very well. And the part lying that in Spanish is right there, it's good because generally they're lying. The second layer are the false feelings, which are also lying. And in Spanish, the last syllable sounds as lying. You hurt my false feelings or lying feelings. We should highlight this word. Don't think that I'm using it just to play with. No, it's good. False thoughts and false feelings. And what are the feelings? The feelings are the justification of the emotion. Write that down, that definition. What are the false feelings? What are the false feelings? It is the justification expressed in words of emotion. So then, what's the next thing? Emotion. There we're drawing even closer to more within us. Emotion. The emotion. So then we have thoughts, false feelings, emotion already within, even more within of us when we go into our interior, the emotion. After the emotion, so then what were the thoughts? It is the emotion expressed in words. When you say, I have a feeling that you're breaking my heart, I don't know. I mean, it's an emotion of pain. It is the expression of the emotion, pain. A girl has pain. How did she say that to her boyfriend when he did something wrong? You're breaking my heart. So then you see that feeling is what I have. It's a feeling. That feeling is the emotion expressed with words. Very well. And now we go even deeper. What is the next thing? It is the sensation. The sensation. Good thing that everything is in Zion. Everything is in Zion. Zionists. Very well. So then, let's first go to emotion. What is emotion? Emotion is, I'll give examples, joy, pure emotion, joy, pain, sadness, feeling desperate, anguish, peace, nauseousness, repugnant, resistance, rage, justice, injustice, justice and injustice at an emotive level, not justice like a noun, but I want justice, that justice. those that always are justice heroes, that always want justice, guilt, fear, shame, and terror. Those are examples. There's more. Those are the examples of what emotion is. And now we will go to the sensation, which is always bodily. It's a sensation that is physical. It is cold, heat, chills, transpiration, pressure, tremors, dizziness. Those are the sensations. All of a sudden they tell me something, I get dizzy. You see how it's not an emotion. It's something that you're feeling. They're telling you something. Your heart starts to beat. All of a sudden it's oh, I have pain in my heart. How could your heart pain? It's a sensation you feel. In other words, we could have pain and we feel it in the heart. I have a knot in my throat or in the stomach. What do you mean you had a thought there? Well, that's a sensation. It's no longer an emotion. Do you understand? It is very different, a lot more different. I feel cold all of a sudden. I feel chills all over my body. My head is pounding. Another phrase. It could say anything. You see, what you tell me makes my head explode. It did not explode, but it's a sensation that something is going. My head is about to explode. It's a sensation that I have. You were going to say? Biological reaction. It's a biological reaction, exactly. Well, I'll explain it. Exactly, it changes already, because to cry, for example, I start to cry. It's not an emotion. The emotion of sadness or joy, either one of the two, because I could cry out of joy or sadness, but it's all a biological effect. It's already a sensation. Exactly, a sensation. Very well. This is very important, what I'm saying. Very important. And we get to the center, where you have to get to if you want to fix something, which is the re-feeling. I'll put it all in caps. Re-feeling. Re-feeling. Well, that re-feeling is the heart of all the problems that I have. Now, give or take, the resenting of a shock, when there's a DHS, it'll go directly here. It'll go from the false thoughts. If it gets to the thoughts are eliminated, you see how the DHS goes past that. It goes past the feelings. No matter what you feel, it goes past that. It goes past the emotion. If it got to the emotion, nothing happens. It goes past the sensation, because if I see my mother-in-law, I have a knot in my stomach, I start to sweat, I feel an electricity. You've seen how all of a sudden, if you get some bad news, you feel a shock through the body. Well, all that, it's not the DHS. The DHS gets to the nuclei, and that's where it installs in them. Who takes it out? Unless I solve it, it stays there. And so then sometimes we think in what happened to us, but we don't get to the nucleus. That nucleus of the bioshock or of the DHS, it's something concrete always. Underneath the sensation, obviously, it's precisely underneath the sensation. It's the one that produces the sensation and the emotion, the thoughts, and the false feelings. And it is in accordance to the belief of the person. That's always, or else there's no DHS. If the belief, it's very important. If I'm walking and that house is in front of me and I say, who cares? It's my belief. If someone happens to that house, but if my son is there and everything blew up, you see, out of the belief, I think my son is there. Maybe he's not there. Maybe I didn't see him get out. He got out 10 minutes ago, but my belief is that he's there. Then what happened? I got the DHS. Do you understand? It is my belief. It's very important, my belief. How many things happen when it says, oh, if only I knew, a whole quantity of things. So then, it is the interior living's personal way of life that is most difficult to get into, very difficult to access here. The resentment, it is the biological footprint of an unsatisfactory need that comes from the most intimate part of our essence. An example of this is, I am afraid of not being loved again. But sometimes the people, they don't know what that means. What am I trying to say with this? Let's give an example. A girl, for many years, she's, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, dating someone. That's typical in America. 7 years dating, and they're about to get married. She says, no, I like another. And he leaves. So then the girl invested so much time, so many years, so many things, and gave herself entirely to that relationship and feels abandoned and generates, for example, I'm just giving an example, okay? Generates a fear that nobody ever will love her, because in the family they said just one boyfriend, nothing else, and they said, and if you're not a virgin, then you're never going to get any man that's righteous, because the righteous men want virgins or nothing else. So then if they have that belief, and I render myself entirely to that type, now I won't be able to love or be loved. But if that belief is installed and one doesn't even notice what it is just kept there, you don't know the whole quantity of problems you're always going to have, uncertainties and all kinds of things. But the question itself, the center is, I am afraid to not being loved. So then, since I am afraid to not being loved, then I start with the sensation. It is precisely, you can express it in many ways. Sadness, depression, a whole quantity of things that are biological. You have the emotion. Now nobody, you don't even notice what you have inside. Maybe I'm not explaining myself. The individual does not know that, but it is within. Because they have the conjunction, you have to be a virgin, she's no longer a virgin. Now, in order to look for somebody that loves her and it's not a virgin, that does not exist. A good man always gets a virgin. Maybe they place that in his mind. Maybe they put that in his mind, that it is a fallacy. Maybe they place that in his mind. So then you start to think, nobody's going to love me because all men are the same. They're all deceivers. They get what they want, and then they just cast you out. So then that is formed, but she does not know that she has that in her mind. That is in the subconscious mind. This is in the subconscious mind. I cannot be checking what they have in their subconscious mind. So then the fears start, and the fears, wraths, and everything that's irrational, that they don't even know where it comes from. It always comes from this. Now, whether we know how to find it or not, that's something else. If it were easy and everybody knew that, they can take it out easily. I'm about to explain it. Take it out immediately, but you do not know it. I explained it backwards, but just so you understand, this individual that precisely believes I am afraid to not being loved again, then does not know that they have that recorded like a code. So then they turn it around. Oh, who's going to love me? And nobody ever loves him because she produces that I'm afraid and I reject man. The lying feelings are actually contrary to men because they don't know where it comes from fear that a man will never ever love her again. A good man, because good men look for virgins, for example, and the thoughts are, and now what am I going to do? I don't have any luck. And I tell my friends, I want to have a boyfriend, and I can't get it because when a good man comes, she rejects him. Why? Because it's a extremely huge bioshock inside, but she doesn't know it. It could also be another types of bioshock, and it's infinite. It could be hate towards my wife, for example. And why does he hate the woman, the wife? Either the mother said, you are a macho, don't let any woman to humble you. So then the wife has to be always humbled, because if you let her be in your level, she'll step on your head. Don't let her drive. You see the Latino man, they don't want the men wanting to drive because they have all these stories that a woman learns to drive and she abandoned him. It's kind of having a dog that you cannot dominate. Just the day you let him go, it's a disaster. So then if you have that belief, how's he always going to have his wife like that? So then no matter how much he makes an effort to treat his wife, he won't be able to get to that, because you got to get the bioshock to get that teaching which the mother taught him. don't ever treat your wife well, for example. So then every time he makes an effort, you have to get to that part. And as long as you don't get to that part, there is no salvation. And there's also the other one that thinks, I am nothing without her. For example, I'm just giving examples, whichever ones. It could be God does not exist. It could be, I don't know, I don't want to go out. It could be so many things, so many problems in life that I could not think about one right now. All types of problems. It could be sex is bad, dangerous. It could be I don't want to get married because it's dangerous. All types of things like that. It could be I don't want to have money because money is dangerous. And if I have that in me, then even if I want to have money from the outside, my subconscious mind says you cannot have money. And so then it's going to boycott myself. I'll go to a good job. My subconscious mind will do things that knows that the other one would not like certain things and does not hire me. Why don't they hire me? It was a job for me. They don't hire you because your subconscious mind did things that projected a certain energy that the other one did not take for because he didn't like you. But your subconscious mind knows this perfectly well, what energy to project so that they don't like you. Or you didn't, or you had some gestures, or you didn't give the correct answer, and so then always the same thing happens. But what happens? So you have a bioshock that says money is bad, because money precisely belongs to bad people. Then you notice that you're that person when your neighbor buys something, you say, oh, he must be a criminal. What is he doing? Weird things. He says, so then somebody in your family or a friend of yours buys a marvelous house or a car and says, what is he doing? Immediately, because our belief is inside saying, if he has a Mercedes-Benz from the latest model, it's because he sells drugs, because I know him. With that job, he can't buy that. But then there's the justification, you see. If he has better things than we do, says, no, just doing weird things. Doing weird things. When you have that thought like that, and precisely that's why I call them false thoughts. When you have that false thought like that, it is because my mind cannot comprehend that a person at my level can have a Mercedes-Benz. Since that is outside that which is normal for my mind, I say he's a thief. Because if he were just like me, he could not have that. Exactly. But apply that backwards. If I had that Mercedes-Benz, then I would feel like I were the thief, you see? So then I cannot have a Mercedes-Benz because that would make me a thief and guilty. It is very important in many aspects in life. Very important. Very well. So then, when we are in the resentment, we're more vulnerable because there we are actually ourselves and we cannot cheat. But now I'll explain that when we get to here. Very well. When we have a problem already accumulated from some time ago, and we do some type of therapy like the one that I'm about to explain, and we get to the resentment is diluted and it disappears. You don't have to do anything there. You have to get to the center, to the bioshock. In other words, if this is the bioshock here, let's grab this red one. If this here is the bioshock, and I start to try to explain what I feel, and I stay there in the thought, I don't get anywhere. If I stay only in the emotion or the, let's go to the false feeling, I feel, you see, you go to a therapist and you tell them all your life what the husband did. No, that is no good at all. You have to get to the bioshock. If I stay in the emotion that I feel, it's also no good. When I'm already close to the sensation there already, though I really don't want in a conscious mind to advance. We have a defense that forms subconsciously, since that effect produces so much pain that we don't want to get to that point Then we navigate explaining our problems, and you're going to find your friends and tell them all your problems, all that feelings, false feelings and lying thoughts and excuses, and it's all a lie. They never solve anything. It's always filled with problems, or filled with problems is he, and they always want to tell people. And it's the other guy's fault. They're a victim, and they're all thoughts and false feelings and emotions. But when one starts to ask them and we get to the emotion, that is when you start to stop yourself. For what reason? Because if we were to get to touch the resentment, what is resented, if we were to get to it and touch it and give or take pronounce what is written there, this would disappear. It no longer hurts. When, for example, an example, just very grotesque so you understand it. Exactly. It hurts, but then after that it no longer hurts. There's memory, you have memory of something, but it's no longer associated with the pain. For example, a person, let's see, what example could I make up? I'll give an example. Let's think that a person, just to make this very drastic, let's be very drastic. A person was sexually abused, raped or not, let's say they were molested when they were children. That was left there in resentment here within. So then he's always in life with his thoughts that he's no good, nobody wants me, and a piece of crap. It's our false thoughts. I have emotions that are crossed. When I go into shock, I don't even want to talk about them. People say, look, don't even talk about that, because to stir up the shit stinks. That's what they would tell me. You know what you did? It says don't stir up shit because it stinks. It's a horrible phrase, but it comes to the point. So don't stir up trouble. So sometimes they don't want to think, but this thought of that I was abused as a child dominates the person their whole life. Their love life, what they like, dominates everything. But they can't get, and they're always complaining. Yeah, friend says I always had a bad experience, but it just gets to that. Has the hand here, does not advance. If she would advance to the fire that hurts and starts to explain what she felt when she was raped, what would she have wanted to do, that is when immediately you go back to resent, the refeeling. When you get to the point itself of the resentment, not just the emotion. If I'm over here and I faint, I never get to here, because once you get to here, there's a terrible pain here and I faint. I'll never get there. So there's people that will never get there. But if the person crying and all gets to the point itself with a good therapist, or by herself as a therapist or himself, in the moment in which she gets to here, the pain disappears. And then later, even if you try to feel it, you can no longer feel it again, because the resentment has that rule. Once I record it, once I get to that point, it disappears without doing anything. Just by entering into that point, it disappears. And there is where the forgiveness enters, the true forgiveness. Okay, not that I'll forgive you, but don't ever do it again. That forgiveness of don't do it again, it's a programming resentment. So then, now we shall study certain therapies. So then, notice this definition when we pronounce the words of the resentment that is here. In the subconscious mind, something in the body is transformed. It is liberated. The sensation can no longer be the same one. And it contains the key of healing. When we get to the refeeling, there is the key. I can talk about my problem all day, explaining it to you. Explaining to you my problem. I can start by expressing my feelings. We don't get anywhere. I can give you my emotion. We get closer, but we're not there yet. I start to feel things that I'm saying in the sensation. I start to experience, or by crying or sobbing, and I can't fix the problem yet, and I just didn't fix the problem. I have to get to the bioshock. Once I get to the bioshock, everything disappears. It is a rule. It's impressive. Did you understand up until there? Very well. Another definition is to find the re-feeling is as to find a treasure. That's the way it is. So you understand it. This is the treasure. As long as I don't get to the treasure, I will be looking for it my life. I'll be very close to it, but I don't get to it, so I can't get the treasure. If I get to the resentment or re-feeling, I make myself the owner of it. A very good phrase that I found. Very well. And there's another problem with the resentment or re-feeling. When I don't fix it and I don't get to it consciously, when there is a re-feeling, which the first of them all is a programming. When a similar situation takes place in life, immediately that programming, reliving of it, triggers it, and it gives it an unchaining effect. So then I do not consciously get to this, but this one dominates me my whole life, because when there's a similar situation to what caused this resentment has to be only similar, it triggers it again. So then in order to heal all those and the ones that come in the future, I have to cure this one. I have to cure this one, turn it off. And it's like a candle. You see it lit there? I can feel it like that. I can feel it warm. And I'm in the reliving of it. Imagine that the reliving of it is this flame. I can say my whole life, speak about this one, how nice. I get close, and it starts to heat up, and I start to feel the sensation. The problem is that I have to put my hand on the flame. Put it. Please, Mr. Minto, I placed a better expression. I didn't want to. But since I touched it, it turned off. That's the way it is. So then, just forget it. So that's it. So you see how it was. It didn't hurt. But I had to place the hand there. I had to place it there. So then, no, I blew everything up. I turned it off entirely. I turned it off, the flame, everything. What does that? But that's the way it works. Accidentally and not accidentally, all I wanted to do is pass my hand over it. But you see how it works? That's the way it works. I think that with that symbol, it's understood perfectly well. Perfectly well. Very well, very well. The flat earth is still here. For those who criticize it, flat earth is here. Very well. Let's see if we pause a little bit. Let's see if the radio is okay. I want to know if it could be that it takes off or not. No, the radio does not want to go anymore. How strange. Yeah, it resented us. It resented us very badly. Very well. A better example, I think that it was... Wow. I touched it, turned it off. I did away with the candle, the whole resentment. It was an excellent example. The best ones that I've seen. Okay, and let us now go to... therapies. I will teach 2 therapies today. There are more, but I'll teach 2 because for me, these 2, you can fix almost everything that you have problems in your life. You need practice. That's what you do need. You need practice. You need actually to follow the indications and to look for this target. Don't ever forget it. Because I do a therapy just with the emotion, I do not advance to the feeling or resentment of it. I won't fix anything. So then these therapies, the 2 that I'm going to teach, the mission is to get to the resentment or refeeling of it, okay? Is it clear what I'm teaching? When you see that the therapy is not working, is because you didn't get to where? To the reliving of it. everything begins, the therapies, with a taking of conscience over our problem. We have to know what we're going to work on. Say, I want to work today, I don't know, but be prettier. It doesn't work that way. If I have a problem, I have a blockage, I have a fear, I have an anguish, I have something that I cannot do and I wish I could do, I have a hate that I can't take off of me, I have, I don't know, fear that I've already said that I can't take out of me. Those are, or I have a pain that I cannot get rid of. That is where this will work very well. And everyone knows where they have to work in. Okay, the first one that I'm going to teach is the re-feeling. The re-feeling, that's the therapy. Re-feeling and pardoning. Re-feeling and pardoning. Very well. If you have a friend or you can share the therapy, you can do them together, you can do them alone. You can do them alone, but sometimes, depending on the person, it works better if there is somebody that works as a therapist. Precisely, I'm saying that it works as a therapist because I'm not sending you to a therapist, because if it were a therapist, I would know what therapy to give you, but I'm talking about you being your own therapist. If it's a couple, you can do them with the couple. If you have brothers or your mom or whatever, your friend, whatever. It works always. It also works alone. But I want to make this very clear that sometimes the person needs, depending on the person, they need a guide. And even more if they start to touch, the emotion, the sensation, already with the sensation, someone does not think about it too much. And if you touch the refeeling of it, you need someone to help you do this. Okay, I'm going to teach you as if it were two people, the refeeling of it. The refeeling is something. What does this work for? It works when there is a pain of an act with a person, a specific person. So then I have a problem in my childhood or teenage years or a year ago, whatever, that ruined my life, for example. Or maybe it didn't ruin my life, but I still have anger inside, as they say in Mexico. I have anger, wrath inside, something that upsets me. When I think about that person, it's almost like I tremble because of the wrath. When is that guy going to die, for example? When is he going to suffer what I suffer as a victim? Always, right? We're always the victim. We're the victim. So then, and the victimizer, he's my victimizer, what he did to me. So then, this therapy works for forgiving. So then this therapy, you have to utilize it if you have a problem with a person in specific. If it was your girlfriend, your wife, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your friend, your grandma, your grandpa, no matter your boss, no matter. If you know that you have something pending and something that causes you some sort of emotion, you have to work on that until it doesn't cause you any more emotion. Sometimes the people that have died, when a person loses a close relative, it could be a daughter, the dad, the mother, I don't know, the grandma, whatever. But I don't bury them properly. What is that in the mind? Obviously, they're properly buried, but if I keep her alive in my mind, I'm doomed to suffer, just like that. Suffer. I remember her, and it brings me pain to say I want her alive. The way I cure this is when I remember her and I smile. That's it. I don't lament her loss. I've already buried her. Once you bury someone, you don't lament. When it causes you pain, you start to cry. Oh, I remember my mom. And you get this knot here is because you haven't buried her. You have not buried her. You have to bury her. And once you bury her, you buried her. Oh, yeah, she was a good person. I remember her. Or a bad person. I don't know. You have to think. But it doesn't cause pain. Okay? It doesn't cause pain. Okay, very well. So then this is good to bury people, to forgive and to bury people. To let go, it's well said, very well said, to let go, to let go. Also to let go in divorces or previous relationships. If you got divorced or you got separated, and you think that your whole world comes down because she was your love or he was, and left you for another. Oh, you cannot know of the disaster that you'll have in your life if you don't let it go. Exactly. Is to get detached, to let go. As long as I am attached, or my relative that I don't want to bury, or my couple that I don't want to let go, my partner. And what is the emotion? Makes me cry and I suffer, because sometimes that goes with me, and sometimes it's functional in the mind of the person. It's functional because it would terrify them not to feel anything for that person. For example, a son that leaves you, and the mother is like, oh, my son left me, married that bitch that is complete. I mean, just imagine. And I brought him up so well for that family. That family was an enemy. Just suppose that it was an enemy of yours when with another, those Caminos Kadosh or whatever. Just imagine, oh, married that, my son married that. Just imagine, an example. It could happen a whole time in the family, yes or no, all the time. Enemy family, so we don't want to let go. This therapy works to forgive and to let go, yes. Exactly. It could also to let go fantasies, beliefs, and fantasies. Also beliefs. Okay, start to write down what I'm about to say. First point. The whole therapy, I'll explain it to you now. But first point. Everything is present. Everything that I'll speak about in this therapy has to be in present tense. Not I was in the bathroom. No, I am in the bathroom. If this happened 20 years ago, it was in the year 1998. 98? Okay. So then I am in the year 1998. Not I was in the year 1998 when my wife came to me and left with another. No, it doesn't work that way. I have to go back in present tense. I am in this date. My daughter died, for example. My daughter died in the year 2000, 2010. And I still cannot bury her. So then I start the year, everything in present tense. It's fundamental. Everything present tense. What I'm going to talk about, okay? What I'm going to talk about. I'll teach to you how you do it. But first, everything that I'll talk about, how is it? Present tense. Present tense. Everything in first person. Not I was, but I am. I am. I am, whatever. I am. Everything in first. You're about to see it. Everything in first person. Not Christian was, no. Or Christian is in the, no. If I'm going to make a therapy for me, is I am. I am. In this year, I am. Not Christian is in the year 2011. Christian is now in the year 2011 when Yeshua didn't come. No. It doesn't work that way. So then it's I. I am in the year 2011, okay? Very well. Nothing about I want, I would like, etc. Nothing about those phrases of I want to change, I wish I could change. None of that, but rather to do it directly in the form that you want to do it. I'm about to explain it, but nothing about I'm in the year 2011, I wish, not to preach that Yeshua came that year, for example. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Not I would like, all that, those variables do not work. We're going to talk to the subconscious mind. I want you to understand. In this therapy, we're not going to talk to our reasoning. If we talk to our reasoning, is no good. We have all the feelings there and thoughts. We're going to talk to the subconscious mind in a language that he understands. He understands present tense only and understands things that are directly real, not I wish I was. Subconscious mind says, what do you want to be? Either you are or you're not, period. Okay. We have to tell the person, whatever, the one that we're letting go, forgiving or whatever, or saying what we have to say to them, or to tell that person what we really want to say. What we would like to have said back then, but now since we're going to situate ourselves in that time, we now have to express, because if we're mute again, we don't ever get to the refeeling of it, precisely because we stayed mute. What happened to us happened to us. Do you understand? Now you have to express yourself. Express yourself and say, let flow what you feel. Yes, and what you wanted to say, to let it flow. Always on the side of more than less. Always flow on the excessive side. In total, you're going to say whatever you want and even more. Yeah, all kinds of things. All kinds of things that you have to say. With the bad words that you have to use everything, absolutely everything. Very well. And also in this therapy, it'll be what really you desire to be. If you wish you slap them in the face, you're going to have to do it. Because if you hold back that slap in the face, we don't get to where you want it to get. So then you're going to feel things. I don't feel anything because I don't have any problems to resolve. But you have a problem to resolve now. If I find myself in that time and I close my eyes and I go to that year, I try to think of that situation exactly. My subconscious mind is going to tell me if I'm really willing to do this. My subconscious mind will place me in that situation, and what I'm about to feel, if I feel that I have to kick someone, I have to kick them. I want you to understand, we have to do what we are feeling that we have to do. Once, I've already told them, and I did what I wanted to do to that person. What do? Because also it could be a hug also, okay? Doesn't only have to be a strike. It could be a hug, okay? When I stop doing that, so then what do? I forgive him, but with a hand in my heart. I have to place my hand in my heart because this has an effect, and really we're seeing in Jin Jiu-Jitsu and the rest, there's an energy in us. So then I place my right hand on my heart. With my right hand on my heart, I'm gonna forgive him and let go. Not to forgive so that he lives with me again, but to forgive and let go. Now, if he lives with me and it turns out that it's my husband who did this to me, I forgive him and I let that problem go. Do you understand? I'm not teaching that you forgive him and then you'd get divorced. I mean, you're going to decide that if you want to or not, but this therapy takes you out. I want you to understand something. If your reason of getting divorced is the hate you have inside, this therapy takes your hate inside. When you least expect it, you don't have any hate. No matter if your husband cheated on you 500 times, there's no more pain. No more pain because you got to the precise moment and there's no more pain. Because the more that takes the people to wrath is the pain that they feel. If there's no pain, it's just an information. It was just left like an information. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So then, and point 7 that I want for you to write down, I gave you 7 points. This is the last one, is that when the therapy is ended, once you forgive them and let them go, no one can touch you for 10 minutes. Because if you're doing it with your wife, husband, friend, mother, dad, brother, whatever, in the moment in which there's so much emotion, you got to the re-feeling of it, in that moment they got to relive that feeling, and there's more new brain connections in the brain that precisely we already comprehend a lot more about. There are connections and bridges, which is what produces our emotions. If there's a connection of a freeway from one way to another, that freeway is the one that I'm going to destroy and make another. Navigate through that neuronal road that we have, even if that is its name, neural anal of the neurons. When I go through it, it brings me pain. It's the problem that I want to get rid of. So then, once I destroy that connection, which is what this therapy does, once you destroy that, other connections start to generate. It is what you cannot touch anyone. It is not something that you cannot recommend. If you make a mistake, well, it's not that there's a great problem, but the best thing is that for 10 minutes, there is no contact with another human being. Did you understand this, right? Because the brain is making new connections. So then it's better that you sit down, don't think about anything, because you just suffered a shock. And that great shock deleted something, and the least thing that you want is for another shock to be in its place. All right? Is that clear? Okay, so nobody touch you for 10 minutes. Here comes the therapy. Two people, white and black. Let's say that this one has the problem. A grave problem. And this will be the therapist, neutral therapist. And this one has a grave problem. It took place, like I've already told you the example, it took place in his childhood, which an uncle came and touched her, this girl. It could be whatever. It could be the death of a relative, but I'll give you that example because it happened to many people, and they still have a pain and rancor inside. If there's no pain or resentment and you remember the experience as another experience, you don't have to do therapy. But if it causes an emotion and almost a sensation, then there's a problem. There's a problem that you have to resolve. That problem is guiding your life, believe it or not. But everyone knows what problems they have. Because precisely, if you don't have any problems, don't do any therapy. Absolutely. But the therapy does not result that I kneel down and tell Yahweh, help me to forgive. It doesn't work that way. Even if you think it does, it doesn't work that way. How can I forget? Well, here comes a good way, a magnificent way of going directly to the subconscious mind. Because here the subconscious mind will see it as real. We're taking advantage of the 4 rules of the subconscious mind, that there is no time that that which is symbolical seems to be real, and the subconscious mind does not judge anyone. We're going to go to the subconscious mind that is damaged. We're going to go with its rules to take away that point. You understand this, right? Okay, so here's a problem which was touched inappropriately when she was a girl or a boy. It could happen to anyone. So then it could be alone, but let's suppose that here you have a helper. So then the helper will only ask these questions. Just imagine, says hi. Both of them are there. He or she has to have her or his eyes closed so that the subconscious mind activates. If my eyes are open, the conscious mind is activated. If I close my eyes, it's kind of like I close the eyes to the conscious mind and I open inward into the subconscious mind. If they're open, it is more conscious than subconscious. So then the eyes get closed. The person do not get touched. They close their eyes. We're going to continue with this story. The story, you're going to place it, not I. This is just an example only. So then this person comes and tells you, my name is, I don't know, let's use a ugly name, Magdalene. Nobody is Magdalena here. And says, okay, my name is Magdalena. I had a problem in childhood. My uncle came and touched me, and I was 8 years old, 9 years old, and up until today, I have this anger, nauseous. He already died, but I hate him, and every time I remember that, or every time my husband touches me, it reminds me of that, and I cannot have an orgasm. It happens all the time. Every time my uncle touches me, I mean my husband, it reminds me of that, and it's always in the sexual part. I cannot enjoy it. It is a burden. It is nothing enjoyable. And all the problems that I have, that doesn't matter. But then the problem is to fix here is to talk with the uncle that touched her. We do agree, right? So then Magdalene comes and says, this year is the year 2003. Let's suppose it happened in 2003. 2003, he says, and I am in front of my uncle. She has to imagine, in other words, you, that I'm teaching you, that you have to resolve. You have to imagine with closed eyes that you're in front of that real person that damaged you, or that person that left without saying goodbye, that died. Whatever problem it might be, you have to close your eyes and really imagine. Once you imagine, the subconscious mind thinks that you're there. If you imagine a lemon, the subconscious mind starts to work. So then you have to put all your will, that's conscience, in placing all your available weapons so that the subconscious mind understands. So then you visualize it, that it's there. It visualizes the person that hurt you or that left, and you wish you had him with you. Visualizes the person. You're going to talk to that person. Says first, this year, 2003, I'm in my room. Always present tense, I'm in my room. I'm just giving you an example. I mean, I'm in my room. And so then they knock on my door. My parents had left. My uncle was taking care of me. You open the door, and he grabs my hand and makes me sit down next to him. I have to say that in the true story, when I say that, what happens, my subconscious mind takes me to that place. I relive it. And you start to feel horrible things. If you're saying something real that bothers you, I mean, just imagine if you have a problem that you have there, you start to say it like that in present tense, and you start to say what's happening. You're going to start to feel horrible things, but it's still there. You have to get there. Just like I threw away the candle. So then you start to relive the story. And so then, in the moment that your uncle did what he had to do, that is when you have him before you and you do what you never did. There you have him before you, everything for you, almost like you have the guy handcuffed or bound. There you have to let everything go that you have. You're a son of 1,000 bitches, a pedophile. You deserve to be killed. And if really your desire is to kill him, you grab a gun in your hand. I don't want to do the gesture. You act like you're shooting him 5 times in his head. You have to do it if you desire to cure this. We're talking about curing this. It's better to do that than to kill him in person. It's a lot better. So then, if you want to do that, you do it. But later, we're going to continue to talk to the guy, what was left about the guy. Your brain understands everything in your subconscious mind. The thing is that you have to let go of the pain in there. It's a knot. So then with the closed eyes, you tell him what you want. How is it I trusted you came and touched me like that with your closed eyes always? You came and touched me like this in that way. A man is not that. That is a person that is the most vile that exists on earth. I mean, whatever you want to say. I'm just making things up here. And then after that, do whatever you want. If you want to shoot him 5 times or with a shotgun, do it. If you want to kick him or punch him 20 times, you have to do it with your closed eyes, as if your subconscious mind is going to see this as real. If you did this whole stage, if it doesn't work because you didn't do this stage, it was too light, laughing. You can't laugh. You have to do it absolutely well. And if there's a person there, the person has to take that role and to say, and what do you want to tell me? Just like that. What do you want to tell me? It gets difficult. No physical contact. Remember, okay? Are you understanding this therapy? Okay, once you let go, with the closed eyes, you have to feel if something has changed inside. And I can assure you by my own experience and people that I've done this to, something changes inside. It's kind of like the pain leaves. All of a sudden, the pain leaves. If you felt something in your stomach, it leaves. And if it doesn't go, then we're going to continue to insult him. Insulting him, hitting him, or telling him what you want to tell him. With the logic that you want to tell him until he leaves. When you discharge yourself and it got to there, the pain leaves, and all of a sudden you're there, and you no longer feel that rage. You no longer feel him. What else do you want to tell him? No, nothing. I don't want to tell him anything anymore. That is where you have to place your hand in your heart and say, dear uncle, what you did hurt me, but now it no longer hurts me. And I forgive you. I forgive you with my heart. And I let you go. Freely, I let you go. On my side, you don't owe me anything anymore. Those are words that you have to say. With the hand in your heart, that is the instant healing because you touched the problem. And to top it off, you forgave him, you let him go. It doesn't mean that you have to live with your uncle. It doesn't mean that you have to ever see your uncle ever again. It means that you are healing yourself. It's kind of to say, Father, forgive them, that they know not what they do. Give or take. Exactly. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. So then I forgive you. I let you go. I forgive you that you abandoned me. If I'm burying someone, I forgive you that you abandoned me. I wanted you next to me like my daughter, my son, my father. I wanted you. I needed you. I wanted your presence with me, if it's my husband, wife, and you abandoned me. Well, now I really forgive you. Like that, I forgive you because you abandoned me and I let you go in peace. when you pronounce those words and everything that I've just said, what is produced is a change in you that you know not how effective is, like day and night. Day and night. It changed entirely. You could have fevers on the next day, that day. Like you have seen, I'm not making anything up here. Like you have seen, because we have practiced this. I've told you, we practiced this in a group manner. That's why I told you that you already knew what was about to teach, because we practiced this every year. So we did many things like this, and there was all kinds of reactions. That's why this could give you fevers, muscle pains, flu, all kinds of things. You get tired all of a sudden since not being cold until you get really cold, because it changes entirely biologically. I mean, you've seen this. I don't have to tell it to you, right? You that are here, you've experienced that in person. It is just astonishing. This therapy is astonishing. This is what you feel, is to feel and pardon very well. And I don't want to do another what do you call another but you've already understood. Is to relive the moment, and then to tell them all you want to do. It is allowed for you to fire him to the heart, to the testicles. I mean, whatever you want. It is allowed for you, because you're gonna fire it in your mind, obviously, but you don't know how that helps you. And it's also allowed to hug the one that left, kiss the one that left, and already our life is left in peace, completely at peace. Very well. Did you understand this therapy? It is fabulous. Okay? Fabulous. Okay? I'm telling you, due to a personal experience. Very well. Okay, now let's go to another therapy. What time is it? Anyway, it is 11. Okay, how long have we been? It's been 2 hours or 3? 2, right? 2. Okay, 2 hours. With 2 hours, we're okay. 2 hours. Do you want me to read you some texts, and the other therapy I'll teach you next week? I think that'd be better, right? Because you've already learned one today. You learned one today, and I want you to mix them up because they're different. They're different. The other one is just as fabulous as this one, and it works for other things. I mean, it's astonishing. Very well. I want you to know that this therapy that I just taught is just as effective like hypnosis. And I don't know if even more effective, because you're reliving something willingly. So then this is just as effective as hypnosis itself. It's just that you have to know whom you hate, what they did to you. If there's someone that you hate due to something, or there's someone that you have not buried, this is what you have to do. Or some things that your mom abandoned you. If your mom abandoned you, or your dad abandoned you for some time, and then he came, but that was recorded in you, then you can do so. For example, that your mom and your dad did not come to your graduation, for example, and that hurts you up until today. Even if they were good parents afterwards, but that little chapter that they didn't go to your graduation, you could do a therapy like that and self-heal that way if it causes you pain. Because if you think that your father didn't go to the graduation, say, oh, that's a good thing. I mean, I didn't want to get embarrassed with them there. That's good. But if everything, you I was the only one that didn't have parents, so then this therapy will take that out. And you're going to remember that episode in your life without any emotion. Yeah, I was alone, but you don't have that emotion anymore. But if an emotion comes, you have to do this therapy, just like anything else. Whatever day, if your husband slaps you, I don't know, strikes you, many years ago, but from that point on, you always, you're going to hit me like that other time, for example, and he raises his voice, you're going to hit me like the other day, for example, because you never forgave them. So then precisely there you need therapy entirely. Did you know that back in Tabernacles we were doing therapies, and precisely part of the group that was listening, it helped them just by listening to that therapy of someone else. It's impressive, because even if they're not doing it directly to you, if you are seeing it during that time, They experienced, biological acts, even diarrhea, okay, even if you want to deny it, even diarrhea was experienced, but I'm talking about diarrhea, fever, all types of things. Wow, exactly. Excuse me? Just by hearing or seeing, exactly. Hearing or seeing, exactly. It is very, very effective. So then the next one, you've already learned about reliving it and forgiving. I've explained this very clearly, but be very creative in the way that you're going to do it, but be real in what you're feeling, real. So then to relive that moment, because I can reassure something to you. If you do it well, you can never relive it again because nothing comes out. You can do it only once. If you want to do it everything again, it doesn't work. It says, what am I going to do? What do I want to tell him? Nothing, because he's gone. I want you to understand that that is the test, if you did it right or not. If you did it right or not, you can try it again, and you don't have anything to do because there's nothing to say. It's kind of like, like it doesn't make any sense because there's no more sensation or pain, no emotion, no feelings or thoughts in regards to it. Everything is gone. Did you understand this very well? So then the next one, I'll save it for next Shabbat so that we can complete at least number 10. Number 10, we'll review everything. Okay, very well. I had questions. And then also experience with this, okay? That'd be good, because if you're able to good experiences, you can comment them in our LVE official. Don't say exactly what it was. Then you say that you were practicing this and you corrected this. I'd like for you to write down so that the people read this, so that they see how effective this is. 100% effective. It's not just a little bit effective. It's 100% effective. It's a lot more effective than to kneel down and ask Yahweh to take that problem away, because he's not going to take it over. He's not going to take it away from you. You have to take it away yourself. And with the example, already somebody felt something already, just with that example. Very well. Yes, the questions, but I want to give you another example. Since I'm not going to teach the therapy, so just real quick, let's suppose that I have a problem with my neighbor, because my neighbor once I let him borrow my lawnmower, and when he gave it back, it didn't work anymore. And when I gave him to him working in perfect order, he says, no, it didn't work, since I even heard that he was using, and says, no, it doesn't work. And I know that he broke it. And I didn't say anything. I kept it inside. And I brought back my lawnmower. And to top it off, I have to, take that he insulted me. It's never happened to you that you let someone borrow something, and to top it off, they criticize you. They criticize you. Wow. So then I have my lawnmower, and I see that the guy did something to it and broke it. And I keep that anger inside. I won't tell him anything. I just have that anger. How do I get that anger out? Okay, I'll relive it in that moment. I'll go back to that moment. I see my neighbor that comes with a lawnmower to give it back to me, and he says, this piece of shit that you let me borrow doesn't work. So then I grab my lawnmower and I tell him, you know what? You are an entire stupid piece of shit, okay? I'm just making people don't think that it happened, okay? You're a you're lying piece of shit that I let you borrow something, that it was working. I heard you, that you were mowing your lawn, and I'm sure that you broke it yourself. You don't have the bravery. Well, I'll close my eyes, but just so you don't have the bravery of telling me I broke it. I'll pay it. Because you are a complete piece of garbage. You know what? Go ahead and leave. Don't ever say hi to me ever again, because you are a piece of shit. A thief. I can't stand you. I don't even like your face. I know, whatever that you want to say. Something that, with goodwill. And then you're going to ask me later for something. I'll say no. For example, whatever. It doesn't have to be true, but I'm feeling it in that moment. Very well. After doing all that, I grab my lawnmower and say, then I forgive him. I have to forgive him. Of course. It's not like hitting him or anything like that. So then I put my hand in my heart and I said, you know what? I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to fix this machine. I'll buy a new one and I'll let you borrow it whenever you need it. What? I'll say it because I already got that anger out. I already got the anger out, and then I'll tell him, and you know what? I'll grab a new one. I mean, you're right. It's no good. I'll buy a new one. But once I got my anger out, you cannot say that with anger. You cannot say that with anger. You have to get to the reliving of it. You turn it off, and then you change the information. How are you going to notice that you got to the reliving of it? When you no longer have anything to say, you're already content. If you're content already, you are at peace. That is when you, with the mind, conscious mind, you change the information in the subconscious mind. That's why it's so important. But not so you become evil people, because at that moment you can say, from now on, you're going to be my enemy of all your family, and I'll break everything every night. I mean, I could place that information because my brain is vulnerable at that moment because I just relived it. And now I'm going to record what I want to record. That is the secret. Do you understand why you have to forgive? Because if I record any other information, my brain will act based on that. Exactly. On the other hand, if I change the information like Yeshua taught us that forgiving is the best thing, then I'll forgive him. Once I get to that and I turn off the pain, then I'll forgive him. I said, you know what? I'll buy a new one and I'll let you borrow it. But I said, be careful because there are things, on your lawn that you can break it. But no matter, I'll buy another one. I have so much money. You let me get a new model that stays in your brain, and it's an incredible. I gave you another example there. I got that anger out that I had for a long time with the guy that broke my machine, and then I look at him and now I smile. I don't have any more anger. It changed entirely. Did you understand it? I gave you another example. For everything, okay? It works for your wife, for your husband, for your son, for everything. For the neighbor also, for everything. For your boss, everything, for everything. For absolutely everything. Very well. Yeshua said in prayer that we had to forgive us just like we forgive those who owe us. So then we have to forgive those who owe us. If we forgive those who owe us, Yeshua has no other choice than to forgive us. That's the way it is. That's the way it works. Okay, very well. And the questions, they asked me, how could it be that you teach that Yahweh was not perfect? Yes, I've always said that Yahweh was perfect, but the perfection does not mean that there is experience or that he went through that which is disobedience, what is all the things that I'm not going to explain again today because you already understood it clearly that Yahweh had to learn now. They quoted me Hebrews. In Hebrews, I have my doubts about that book. I know that I eliminated that book. That's why I have not quoted it, but in Hebrews there's a text that says that he had to learn obedience. Of course, it comes very adequately. We liked Hebrews again. I don't know, tell the truth. I don't know. I'm going to have to research it. But I have some sort of mentality about Hebrews, but I want to tell it to you right now. But once we restart that which is the written part, once we get out of Germanic medicine, I'll tell you what I think about it, but I do like that part in Hebrews that says that he had to learn obedience, because he did have to learn obedience, because he was the boss, the Lord, and owner, whoever, and master, and if somebody disobeyed him, he would just make him butter or earth. And so then he had to learn a lot of things very well. To wrap this up, I'm going to read some texts. For example, once we comprehend this, that Yahweh had to heal himself in order to heal us, we're going to see the reaction some of Yahweh for those that do not comprehend and from those who do comprehend. Yahweh and Moses, for example. Let's go to Exodus 19, 9 through 25. Exodus 19, 9 through 25. It reads as follows. So then Yahweh said to Moses, behold, I come to you in a thick cloud, so that the people will hear as long as I speak with you, and also so that they believe you forever. And Moses referred the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moses, go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and wash your clothes, and be prepared for the third day, because on the third day Yahweh will descend in the eyes of all the people upon Mount of Sinai, and you will put limits to the people around, saying, careful, do not go up to the mount nor touch its limits. Whomever that would touch the mount will surely die. No hand shall touch it, for that person will be stoned. Notice what it says. I want to stop you here. Yahweh, in all he was trying for his people to love him. And he has no better idea than to threaten them with death. Who's going to love you? Are you going to have a girl to fall in love with you if you tell her, if you don't love me, I'll kill you? And if you touch me, I'll kill you. Well, there's a lot of men that are that way, okay? They get married and they don't want the wife to touch them. Some are like that. But Yahweh wanted to make his people fall in love with him. And notice the erroneous way of expecting his people to love him. How were his people going to love him? Tell me, how? His people would not draw unto him. He did not allow himself to be seen. Instead of speaking to them with sweetness, it was just thunder. The people would say that they were going to be killed right there and then. Is that the way to make someone fall in love with you? No. It's not the way of making a girl fall in love with you. And he says, and don't touch the mount, and if you touch the mount, will surely die. But for what reason? For what reason were they going to die? Because he said so. Because he thought it was the best way for them to respect him. He had to be respected under penalty of death, not out of love, but under penalty of death. It reads as follows, careful, do not go up into the mount or touch its limits. Whomever would touch the mount will surely die. Just imagine that President Trump now will give us a discourse here in Riverside, and we go and listen to him because he's going to change the Constitution, something important, right? He's going to change the Constitution. He invites us for us to listen to him, and there's security around, all with weapons. And Trump says, if you touch, just by touching it, you shoot him down. Would we have any love for Trump? You know what, love? Grab your new Constitution and shove it up your ass. I mean, I don't know, whoever trannies to listen to you or whatever. I mean, whatever thing we could say to Trump, whatever. But that we wouldn't go there. We wouldn't go there, and it makes it get upset. What could cause a person to tell you, if you touch me close to where I am, I'll kill you? Could that cause love? It cannot cause love. And Yahweh thought that he was make his people love him, that they were going to fall in love with him. And then he was upset that the people disobeyed him. Of course, they could touch the calf. He was pure. It was a loving calf. He would not yell at you. It didn't thunder you. So then he was looking for something that was in accordance. Obviously, gold and nice. It wasn't thundering and lightning and trembling and to say, if you touch me, I'll kill you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. I could read all scripture like this, but I'll read on. These examples. Then it says, do not go up into the mount or touch its limits. Whomever would touch it will surely die. No hand shall touch it, because they'll be stoned or run through with the sword. Animal or man, it shall not live. How can that generate love? Tell me, how can that generate? It doesn't generate love in me. That's another story where they were transporting the ark of Asa when it was touched the ark. That's another story. Exactly. Another story. He died immediately. Another story. and Aaron's children. That's another story. So then when the shofar would sound, you will go up into the mount. And Moses descended down to the people. I want you to understand this. It was just very capricious of Elohim, because if others could go up, but not the people, it's not that they were not human beings. The whole people could have gone up there, but Elohim was being capricious there. He says, they can come up, but not you. Do you understand what I'm saying? But absolutely, you have to see it, because otherwise you cannot comprehend this. Absolutely, there is no justification whatsoever. Elohim was being capricious only. It says, and Moses descended from the mountain to the people, and he sanctified the people, and they cleansed their clothes, and told the people, be prepared for the third day, and touch not a woman. And it took place that on the third day, when the morning came, thunders and lightning came. That is Yahweh's presentation to his people, to his wife. He was about to get married. He didn't have any better idea than to give a great entrance like that of thunders and lightning that causes fear, not love. And thick clouds over the mount, and the shofar sounding, and to top it off, it was a strident sound, not nice. Of course, when Moses came, he heard music, dancing. No, not Yahweh. It was strident sound that would burst your ears. The thundering, the earthquake, the fire, and the strident sound. The people got a DHS, yes or no? And then they heard, speaking about Elohim, they said, no. You talk to him, because we're going to die. There you have the DHS. And they said, and if every time he shows up, he has this display, and to top it up with threats, not just that, if precisely your dog went to touch the stones that they used as limits, he would die. Didn't understand the thing and would die. If you touched something, you'd be stoned or run through with the sword, and this horrible display of everything. It's terror. Thundering causes terror. Did Yahweh need that brutal presentation? No, but since he was in that point in time, and he was showing to us he was an egotistical Elohim, he had that representation. Here I come over this mountain. When I step on something, everything gets burnt. It was not necessary for anything to get burnt. Everything would get burned. I mean, I'm talking about a display of thundering and lightning that was just astounding. Look at me. Here comes number one. Your Elohim, he says, and careful, if you don't do what I say, I'll kill you. Look at the power. I mean, he was showing power, yes or no? I could imagine what that was. And to top it off, the shofar sounding all over the place. It was the closest thing to hell. But that's the presentation to the bride. Okay. So then it says, you see what it says? I don't know where the book of Hebrews got, but even Moses was scared. Remember? Everyone was scared. Get presentation of Yahweh's. I mean, that's why they were worshiping something else. An Elohim like that is rejectable, entirely rejectable. So then he told unto the people, be prepared to the third day. And we're on text 18. And it took place that on the third day in the morning there were thundering and lightning and thick clouds upon the mountain and very strong shofar. And the whole people were scared. That was the DHS. That's the DHS. Who produced it? Elohim. And the whole people were scared, who were in the encampment, and Moses took out, and to top it off, no sex. Why no sex? Just because Moses had that idea, sanctify. What is it to sanctify them? If you have sex, just imagine that. To sanctify Elohim, you don't have to have sex. I mean, that whole stupidity, just like that stupidity. I know that your ears are thinking, wow, all stupidity, absolutely stupidity. Because the people were going to be far away. What is the difference whether they had sex or not? What is the difference the next day when they all abandoned Yahweh? Tell me if that caused, just think in this before your mind closes, all that right of no sex, of from far away. Did it serve the people so that in a couple of days for them not to worship the calf? No. In fact, it demonstrates that it's not the way. It's not the way of prohibiting things to the people. It was not the way of prohibiting to get close to their Elohim. What we want away of ours, and it was demonstrated in the acting of the people the wrong way of Yahweh's acting. I know that you're having a heart attack with what you hear. It was a wrong acting. It resulted in his children to act wrong. And not all of them died, but a lot of them died, but they all made mistakes. Even Aaron made him that golden calf. How can you understand that if they had such a sanctifying reunion? It was not sanctifying. It was tear. Nobody wanted to be with Elohim. You know, you can shove it, Moses. Let him. Didn't the people say that? So then it was not something of love, but of hate and fear. Just like that. Fear and hate. And the hate was demonstrated when they rose in with the calf. It was demonstrated. I don't have to demonstrate it to you. The story demonstrates it to you. 17. And there were orgies, right? Right. He prohibited sex, and now there's an orgy. Exactly. Yahweh says don't have sex. And then, of course, they say, this good God doesn't let us have sex, and they had all this sex that he prohibited them. So then, what were you going to say? That shows us the dual God, right? That he wants to control everything. Absolutely. Control over everything. But I mean, I can show you now under this point of view that, I mean, Yahweh made me understand this. You know that nobody in the world talks about this. I can make you understand that even the high priest or the priests, let's say the Kohen, had to marry virgin women. Yahweh had to eat his own commandment, and he married the most prostitute woman of them all. He could call her a virgin all he wants to, but his wife is an extreme prostitute. She was with all kinds of gods, 3 in a row, 3 at a time. Yahweh's wife would go into bed with 3. So then he who set the rule, the Kohen and the high Kohen, have to marry a virgin. He said, this doesn't work. He married, that's why Yeshua said that he came to look for what? What are you here for? It says for the prostitutes and the tax collectors. They're the first ones that go into heaven. They go first, and precisely he marries the combination of prostitute and thieves. That's the wife of Yahweh. But he had to learn this. He wanted a virgin. He couldn't get a virgin. Nor will he ever get a virgin. He had to get the most whoring wife of them all. Yahweh says, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm just asking. Even if it says that the 144,000 are virgins, you think they really are virgin. They can't be virgin if he took them out. He himself said Israel is a prostitute, yes or no? And if it's a prostitute, how can they become a pure woman? Are we all pure in a pure planet? No. No, he marries the worst whore. He who set the rule, my Kohanes, marries a virgin, he cannot comply with it. Just so you see how wrong the rules are. Do you understand? I know that in your Christian mind you're going to say, no, because it was a symbolic prophecy that the high priest would marry a virgin. The thing is that he does not marry a virgin. She already comes deflowered from the Trinity, deflowered by whatever, but we would lay down with 3. We would worship 3 and then 2. And until we got to 1. But we finally got to 1. But prostitutes to the maximum. If you think you're a virgin, this is not the place that you have to be in. And if you think that if I am wrong in what I'm saying, then read the scripture entirely. Okay, 17, so I don't lose the subject here. 17. In fact, didn't Yeshua say the prostitutes go first of all into the heavens? Or did he say the virgins? No, the prostitutes and the tax collectors, which were the thieves. It was a symbol of a thief. So then prostitutes and thieves, those go first into the kingdom of heaven before the just, the righteous, or call themselves that. Exactly. That's he would call those Torah keepers serpents. Exactly. So aren't the virgins in the Catholic Church? The Virgin Mary is Catholic, exactly. Virgin Mary, the Immaculate. I mean, I forgot. I was going to... I always say a joke, but I'm not going to say this publicly. The Immaculate Virgin is Catholic. Our person that we know as Miriam lost her virginity. Do I have to tell him she's no longer a virgin? Miriam, who's Maria, is no longer a virgin. So those who worship Virgin Mary do not have the true message. Do you see? They worship. They're a different kind of a prostitute. Very well. 17, I'll read on. And Moses took out from the camp the people to receive Elohim, and they stopped in the foot of the mount. All of Mount Sinai was smoking. What a good presentation. He was going to make that people fall in love with him crazily. Oh, wow, because Yahweh had descended upon him in fire. There wasn't a better presentation how to make that people fall in love with him. I mean, just to descend with fire, strident noise, and the smoke would go up like a furnace in the form of fire. How are you going to fall in love with a furnace of fire? There's another way, but that isn't the mind of Elohim. He says they're gonna tremble with fear. I'm gonna make a whole bunch of noise, and the people, because of fear, they're gonna worship me forever. No, they rejected him immediately. Just like the way we used to be. We'd condemn everybody that doesn't think the way we do. I no longer condemn anybody that doesn't think the same way. And the whole mountain shook violently. What a better presentation. If I had used that presentation to have Leslie fall in love with me, I'd be single today. Because I would not get her. I'll light up a fire. Just imagine in the bus where I'm at, or in the car, I set it on fire. A bomb. That's how the Arabs present themselves. The Arabs present themselves just like the terrorists. Elohim seems to be a terrorist. Wow, now I comprehend it. Of course, but terror. What is a terrorist? Infuses terror. Was Yahweh not infusing terror? He acted like home. Yahweh the terrorist. So he lit fire through bombs, lightning, a visual image, threatened everybody. That's what a terrorist does. I'll kill you all. And the people were like that. It didn't give a good effect. I'll read on. All of Mount Sinai was covered and shook violently, just like a terror movie. As the blast of the ram's horn grew louder and louder, it was strident sound. Moses spoke, and Elohim thundered his reply. Take it. I'll use this voice that you won't even understand, and it'll shake you. You're going to think that it's an explosion of a nuclear bomb. And Yahweh came down on the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. And mountain climbed up the mountain, and Yahweh told unto Moses, go down into the people and warn the people not to break through the boundaries. God was about a bit insecure. Their notice, he had already commanded them, yes or not, but Yahweh, he was not sure, apparently. And he said, now that you came up, go back down. I already told them, go back down. Go back down and command the people that they not break the limits to see Yahweh. Here you notice that there is control. Yahweh the controller, not Yahweh the terrorist, Yahweh the controller. So then before it goes out of control, it says, Yahweh, notice touching. I don't know, go back down and tell him not to touch the mountain. That causes a psychological act like the communists and all the rest. On a permanent basis, don't touch this, don't touch that. I mean, the whole people are more terrified. Who wanted to touch that mountain? Nobody wanted to touch it. Only in the mind of Elohim, he still wanted to continue to control, is what you call controlling. You may not see this, I don't know. And to top it off, threatening, descend and tell the people not to break the limits to see Yahweh, lest many of them perish, he says. No matter if I'm their Elohim that saved them from Egypt, if they touch my mountain, where I descended upon, I'm gonna pulverize them. But they're your people, Yahweh. I could care less, he says. They're gonna learn that the husband is a son of a gun, and he's gonna mistreat the wife. Doesn't that sound like a husband that mistreats the wife? An abusive husband, doesn't it sound like? Why do you think that your matrimony went to hell? His matrimony failed. If you blame yourself because your matrimony failed, hold on, Yahweh's failed. He married, and then he had to divorce the wife. He failed. Yahweh failed. Until you understand, because in the psychology, then the matrimony, it's always both fault. Don't ever say it's only her fault or only his fault. Yahweh said it's only your fault. Here's the divorce because you're a prostitute. But hold on, until he noticed that he was 50% to blame also. The blame was not of the woman alone, but also his to blame as well. Do you understand? An abusive to the utmost. He demonstrating he was the macho with power. And don't get near to me because I'll destroy you in the multitudes. 22. Also, let the priests sanctify themselves, those two, he says. Those who come near to Yahweh. But what does it mean to sanctify? Once we understand this, what is it to get sanctified? Tell Yahweh, hey, please forgive me. You're forgiven. You're sanctified. Notice the level of how egotistical he was. It's not that they had to do just something special. No, they had to sanctify themselves. What does it mean to get sanctified? Is to take the sins from off of them. Notice that we suffer that up until today because he's going to present himself as Yahweh. So how do I sanctify themselves? Sacrifices, do something as to be forgiven. Don't touch your wife because that is filthy because you're going to see me. Notice the level. What does it mean to get sanctified? What is it that Yahweh break forth upon them? Control and threats. 23. And Moses said unto Yahweh, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai. Moses explaining to Yahweh. Are you following? Yahweh, stubborn, is at the top of the mountain and tells Moses, go back down as if it was easy. Of course, he comes in fire. But Moses had to climb that. And Yahweh says, you know what? You came up good, but now go back down. What for? To tell him not to touch the mountain. Or else I'll scratch everyone out. It says, I already told them. It says, look, Moses tells Yahweh. Moses is fabulous. Here you see Yahweh meets the first blow to the face. With a thinker. That goes toe to toe against Yahweh. Look. Here, Moses goes toe-to-toe against him. What Abraham didn't do. Abraham, go sacrifice your son. Yes, Lord, like an idiot. Okay, is this what you want? Yes, what I want. Okay, where to? 3 days away. Okay, Lord. Okay, Lord. Now to kill him. Yeah, you gotta kill him. Okay, Lord. He didn't go toe-to-toe, but Moses did. Notice Moses. Moses did. Moses says... He talks back to Yahweh. The people cannot come up to the Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. And Yahweh said unto him, go. You're not gonna tell me what to do, you little bug. No. I mean, a slave. He says, a slave wife. He's married a slave wife. A slave wife is going to come tell me the macho. What? No. Before I burst you, go down and tell him what I told you. Go away with thee, and shalt thou come up and Aaron with thee. But the priest and the people shall not break through. Not even the Kohen shall not break through to come up unto Yahweh, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down. He couldn't do anything else. He went back down unto the people and spake unto them something that he already know, something that they were not going to do, but Yahweh had to control even more. Now let's go to Exodus 20, 18 through 26. I'll read in the Spanish DHH. Spanish DHH. And here you have an absolute control of Yahweh's. We cannot go anywhere. So much control. Just like I control my dog or my 5 dogs. Do I have 5 or 4? 5 dogs. Even if they want to show their face outside, I say, hey, go inside. It's like if it's Mount Sinai. Once again, all over again, new edition, just yelling with trumpets and what are you doing here? And yelling. And the dog is drags himself back into that faith. That's the way we are. And that is how Yahweh is, because Yahweh made us that way. He says, no, you are here, under control. This is the creation, just so you know, But at least we have the promise that this he will eliminate. Obviously, Yahweh is not going to reign with a terrible dome forever on earth. No, impossible. Very well. Exodus 20:18 through 26 reads as follows. When all the Israelites were witnesses of the loud blast of the ram's horn and of the flash and lightning smoke belowing from the mountain, but they were trembling in fear. What does Elohim cause? Fear. All the Israelites, all of them had what? Were fearful. And they would stand in a distance. How does Yahweh expect for them to fall in love with him? If they were fearful and they stood at a distance. If a husband makes his wife fearful and she stays at a distance, the husband says, if you touch me this, I'm going to kill you. Well, I mean, phrases that husbands say, if you touch my car, even if they don't comply with them, is this, if you touch my car, I'll kill you, for example. For example, you can't drive. Then, give or take, the husband becomes in the original way as Yahweh. Now, once we learn that that is not the path, then we, as husbands, we change, and we see that we have to treat the wife with love. That's not the path. It's a different path. The path is a different one. So then, precisely, they were afraid, and they would stay at a distance, and so they told unto Moses, you speak to us. We don't want to speak with our husband anymore. We'll speak only with Moses. You talk to us, and we shall obey. They really thought that they were going to obey. I want you to understand the psychology. They really said so. They weren't lying. But when they rejected Yahweh with repugnance, fear and repugnance, rejection, resistance, and fear, what does that cause? Diabetes. Yahweh was causing a symbolic diabetes for the people because there was nausea, fear, and rejection, resistance. We talk about, you talk to us, we don't want to talk with him anymore. You talk to us and we shall obey. The people wanted to do that, but once they noticed that automatically they could not either talk to Yahweh or obey Yahweh, what happened? They looked for other Elohim. That's typical in the humans. But don't Elohim speak directly to us. Imagine if the wife tells another, hey, I'll talk with another, but don't let my husband talk to me. Imagine what kind of a situation that would be. No relationship there. It would cause diabetes and leukemia, whichever of the two, but there was a rejection there. I think that you're seeing this. I don't mean, oh, well, either way, you're going to write to me whatever you want to write to me, that I'm crazy or whatever. And I think you're seeing what I'm saying and saying here. You talk to us and we shall obey, but let not Elohim talk to us lest we die. Afraid. They were afraid of Elohim. Afraid. And Elohim said, don't be afraid. Elohim came to test you. What test? So that you always fear. Oh, for that? It's that you always fear of him, obviously. Fear the husband. Yet, so you stop lest you sin. If that is Yahweh's goal, that you fear him, that we fear him, that we don't sin, did it work? No, it didn't work, exactly. I want you to understand that. That was the idea of Yahweh, for him to unfound a lot of fear, so that they fear me and that they do not disobey me, because they know that in the moment in which they disobey me, for our own good, but it wasn't the way. Do you understand? It's kind of like all of a sudden you punish your son and you show him that you have a brutal power. You go to his room and you break 3 toys of his and you shock the little boy and you say, if you disobey me, I'll come and I'll break everything. Every one of your toys. The boy will be terrified, but don't think that he's going to obey you out of love. He's not going to obey him out of love, and parents do that. because Elohim did that. He was our father. He tried to do a display of brutal power. That does not work. It does not work by force. 21. As the people stood in the distance, Moses approached the dark cloud. He was in a dark cloud of darkness. This text is criticized, a dark cloud in darkness, a dark cloud where Elohim was. And of course, in that time, he was in the entire darkness. Elohim was not in light, he was in darkness, and he was acting like darkness. And when we act in darkness, there is no light, then everything will go wrong. Just like that, wrong. It is very, very shocking. Yahweh was in darkness. Yahweh told Moses, we continue in the control, but this is absolute control, 100% control. Moses told him, say this to the people of Israel. Do you notice that when Yeshua came to earth, the last thing that he did was to control? You see how everything changes, because that was the way. Very well. Yahweh would say, you hard-headed people. No, no, no. A hard Elohim people. That's what I would say. What did Elohim say? Yes, the people were not hard-headed. Our Elohim was hard-headed. Wow, I mean, that right there. I mean, tell me, who was the hard-headed one, Yahweh or the people? Who was the one that would threaten? Outrageously defiant. So it was not the people, the hard-headed ones, but Yahweh was the hard one. With that resentment that made you live, then you obey, but without love. Very well. But that fear never awakens love. Very well. We're on 22, did I say? Okay, 22. Yahweh said unto Moses, say this to the people of Israel. You saw for yourselves that I spoke to you from heaven. You already see your little mosquitoes. I talked to you from heaven. You see my position? Then he had to come down to our level and be born of a prostitute woman. Why prostitute? Because they're all prostitutes. We're all with sin, right? So then he had to be born from there. It's not that, this is clear. It's not that Medium was a prostitute, but the whole race is a prostitute. Yes or no? Absolutely. Very well. You've already seen, he says, that I've talked to you from heaven, you worms. That's what he needed to say, all you worms. You must not make, he says, don't even dare. Do not make any idols of silver or gold to rival me. Because you already know I'll break you. Build for me, he says, build for me. Look at Yahweh here. He is in his maximum exponent of egotistical. Make unto me, he says, an altar of earth, and offer unto me the sacrifices. That altar made of earth means of mud, baked mud, or out of stones, out of your sheep and goats. But notice what Yahweh wanted. Why did Yahweh need the blood of all those things? Nothing but egocentrism. He thought that with that, they would not turn unto their gods. And offer unto me, he says, unto me, okay, unto me, and offer unto me the offerings of your sheep and goats and cattle and sacrifices of reconcilement. I will come to you and bless you in whatever place that I want, okay? In whatever place that I want. Mind you, not what you want. I'll bless you, but where I want my name to be remembered, he says there. And if you make an altar unto me instead of earth, if you make one of stones, use only natural and uncut stones. He had his rules, yes. Do not shape the stones with a tool, for that would make the altar unfit. Unfit of what? An altar for me. Unfit of an altar for me. And my altar should not have steps. Look at how jealous he was. You know why he didn't have to have steps? You see the image that I showed you? There was a little ramp. You know why? Why? Why, he says. Why? He says, because he was so jealous. And my altar should not have steps, lest someone look up under your clothing and see your nakedness. He was jealous even with that because with his wife, he's ultra jealous. He says, my second name is jealous. God the jealous, that's my name, he says. Because I'll break you. You do something to me, you prostitute, I'll break you. And says, you know what? Don't even put steps on there, okay? A little ramp. I don't know why, but he in his mind, he said, I don't want you to look at my Kohen to see. Did I say priest? No, Kohen. Okay, my Kohen, when they go up, I don't want people to look under intimately. That's mine, he says. It's all mine. My Kohen are mine, yes or no? All my Kohen are mine. What they have in their legs is mine. What you do and your ideas, it's all mine. An ultra jealous God is speaking. You see this, right? Who's going to look at that Kohen if that was... I says, no, just in case. Just in case you dare. Just in case it comes to mind. Okay. This is the presentation of Yahweh to the people of Israel. This is the presentation. His covenant. How were they going to violate that covenant if it was extremely fourth class? What did I just say? The covenant of Yahweh was horrible. He demonstrated that never that wife could fall in love with his husband. Never, never, ever. And Yahweh had to learn because it's demonstrated in history. Completely. I'm not speaking stupid shit here. I am demonstrating that the people abhorred their husband. Abhorred their husband. Very well. At the end of times, when he is already cured, he has another tactic. And this one does work. Let us go to Hosea 6:5. Hosea 6:5, and I'll wrap up with this. Hosea 6:5 and 6. It says, it is for this reason that I cut you to pieces through my prophets. With the words of my mouth have I slaughtered you. He's talking the way he was before. The same being is speaking, mind you. The same thing that I would present in 2011, that if Yeshua did not come, I would throw all the doctrine into the garbage can. Which did happen either way. All that doctrine with Father and Son, did I not throw it into the garbage can? I fulfilled it to the letter. Look, even we threw away Ellen, Paul, and even the Father and the Son. So then now I noticed that we did end up throwing everything to the garbage can. Wow. But it's the same person, okay? I'm the same person. The same one that was Trinitarian years ago, same one. So then it says, Yahweh says, what did he say? That he killed them through the words of the prophets and his judgment. You know what he just said? I'll read again. It says, for this reason did I cut you to pieces. Who's he talking to? The people of Israel, obviously. Who did he cut to pieces? People of Israel. Through the prophets, with the words of my mouth did I slaughter you. And with judgment, how did he do so? Because the prophets come and prophesize it. And of course, everything that the prophet says, it all gets fulfilled. And my judgment should surely be as day follows night. But, 6, for I desired mercy and not sacrifice. All of a sudden, after having spoken that he wanted sacrifices, here's an altar for me. I want for me, make it of stone, and if it's, don't cut the stones, has to be just like you found them, like I made them. Natural stones, if you touch them, you fuck them up. You put your hands into my creation, so then the way the stones are, that's the way I want them, or no, out of earth, but don't touch anything of mine, because the altar is for me. Sacrifices is what I want. Lots of blood. None of the sacrifices would represent Yeshua, because if Pesach represent Yeshua the Lamb, or if it also represents in Yom Kippur, the whole rest of the sacrifice was nothing but egocentrism of Yahweh. Do you understand? No, it's not that the David. Hold on, just a minute. We already have in the feasts. In fact, the one of Pesach meant Yeshua, and that of Yom Kippur meant Yeshua, and the red heifer meant Yeshua. But the rest is nothing but egocentrism. Sacrifice. You sinned. Bring me a lamb. It's gonna get expensive. Just so you remember not to sin. Of course, it's really expensive. Who wants to? Now we can't even eat a lamb. How much is a lamb now? Tell me, how much is a lamb now? The price, alive, 1 year old. $300 to $400 for a little sin. And if we sin 2-3 times in a week, We cannot pay, not even crazy, what it cost. Just forget it. And if you're married, for your wife, your son, 4 and 5 by the week. No, we're very well off, not well off, but Yahweh says, bring to me and sacrifice unto me. But all of a sudden, Yahweh says as follows: for mercy did I desire there. He noticed that what he wanted is something else and not sacrifice. All the sacrifice never did it turn the heart of the people of anyone. He would sacrifice, wouldn't turn anybody's heart. Do you understand? And true knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offerings, of course, as long as the more the bloody it was in the sacrifice, the less love for Elohim I have. Tell the truth. In fact, sacrifice is like it would bother me. It's like, you know how? It functions just the same way as, what do you call this of the Catholics that they had to pay for their sins? No. Yeah, like indulgences or a penance, I would sin, I had to pay with that sacrifice. And it does not produce peace. It does not produce love. It does not produce anything. It produces rage because it cost me, how much? $300. So then it produces anger. Do you see? Because it's a fine. When the police gives you a ticket, it says $400. Does it give you peace and love? Love for the police? You hate the police. And when you see a cop, you start to like that's to feel. And so even if you're going 30, you go even slower. Does it happen to you or not? What about when Nelson, they pulled you over? Does that happen to you? You get so angry. Or do you love the cops? No, it bothers you. So then that's what he noticed. So then Yahweh said later, he says, I want to really mercy, no more sacrifice, and I want to that you are really know Elohim. How are they going to know him? It was nothing but control and egocentrism. Yahweh had to know himself through what we did. That's what happens. He was getting to know himself. Let us go to Matthew 9:13. Matthew 9:13. Go ye. This is Yeshua speaking, mind you, with a different tone, without thunders, no lightning, no trumpets. Go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come to call the righteous. Oh, okay. It's the same Yahweh, same person. It says I didn't come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. True repentance. To true repentance. I have come to call sinners. Very well. Before the sinners, he wanted them out. You see, away from my mountain, you sinners. Only those who sanctify themselves can go up. You see the difference? Now he comes to call the sinners, no longer the sanctified. He doesn't want those anymore. He doesn't want the sanctified ones. I have a lot to read so that we continue to see. But I only want to wrap up with this one. Let's see. Let us go to speaking about how he treated his wife so bad. Let's continue on with that line. The first matrimony of his was complete failure. I've already said it. An absolute failure. But he saw his mirror. He had to learn to not be dual. He attracted his mirror. He chose prostitute is because there was something there that he had to learn for him. Let's go to Hosea chapter 2. Hosea chapter 2, 1 through 23, and we'll wrap up with this. It reads as follows. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruama, plead with your mother, plead. For she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Just like that. Fuck off. Fuck off all matrimony. But notice that the one who failed was Yahweh, mind you. He could blame his wife all he wants, but we know that matrimonial failure is 50-50. Aside from that, therefore, her adulteries and whoredoms from her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. That's what a jealous husband would do, an incomprehensible husband, a husband that does not love the wife the way he should. A dual husband, yes, a machista husband. Yahweh machista, absolutely, until he learned not to be machista. A machista does this, we do agree, right? Okay. Nor shall I have mercy on her children, for they are children of prostitution. Look, Yahweh was already upset. For her mother prostituted herself. The one that gave birth to them lost her honor. She said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and mine drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way with thorns, and make a wall, that she shall not find her paths. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them. And then she shall say, and seek them, but she will not find them. Then she shall say, I will go and return to my first husband. Notice what Yahweh is saying. He's saying that the prostitute would make her life impossible, and she is going to have her go with her lovers, but won't let her go with her husband because he's going to torment her in her path. Going to make her life upside down, that it says that someday she'll say, it was better with my husband. Didn't love him. Didn't love. She hated that husband, but at least I didn't die of thirst. That is what the text is saying. I want you to understand. Then she shall say, look at what Yahweh is saying that the wife would say. Then she shall say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now. So then Yahweh had the hope that they would, like a discard, like discard it. Okay, I'll go back to you because you love me? No, because it's better off. I'm better off. That's the way it is. See, that is the true love. That is the wife that Yahweh wanted. No, of course not. It is all going to end up in divorce. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Terrible. The worst way. For she did not know that I gave her corn. Did not recognize the victim. Yahweh's the victim. Here you know it clearly. I gave you everything. I gave you ungrateful bitch. I gave you the liberty. I found you in whoredom. I could say, I brought you out of whoredom, gave you the best clothes, gave you food, and you pay me like this. You ungrateful, a victim. You clearly see Yahweh's being a victim. Says, you did not recognize that I gave her corn, wine, and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, gave her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Wow. Here Yahweh is being a victim and does not understand why she's leaving. Is she leaving? Because he does not know how to make the wife fall in love. That's what she's leaving. Of course, you can give everything to a wife, but the wife wants good sex, which Yahweh was not giving her. Good treatment, which Yahweh was not giving her. Do you see this, what I'm seeing here? Do you see it? Because sex then was what? A sacrifice of blood. Who's going to love you like that? Nobody's going to love you like that. Absolutely nobody. Therefore, I will return and take my corn in time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. What is the victim doing? I'm going to take everything from you. Like a machista husband would do. You're leaving? You divorce me? I'll take you even what you don't have. Instead of saying, okay, let's say I'll give you everything. No. I gave it to you with the condition that you love me. You don't love me, I'll take everything out of you. That's how Yahweh works. And the men that are not righteous, which are unrighteous, you notice what I'm reading here. I'm going to take out everything from you, everything. And of course, who has more power? Yahweh. Yahweh. Man, exactly man. And now I will discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers. And to top it off, vengeful. He says, now that you looked for lovers, he was blinded with jealousy. You have to understand, Yahweh would get blinded. Now he learned he would get blinded, go crazy. One of his craziness, he flooded the whole earth. One of his craziness, one of his other insanities, notice that the wife goes with the lovers. And of course, he has a lot of power in how he acts. Can you imagine? The mind of Yahweh, he cannot understand how they don't love him. If he is YHWH Eloheinu, Yahweh had. How can they not love me? It's like a guy that is super egotistical says, love me. Why? Because I'm the most pretty, the most intelligent. Because don't you notice that I have more power and more money than you? Love me. What? No, I won't love you. I'll go with this other guy from the street that doesn't have anything. What? And so he goes crazy. Extremely crazy. That's the situation of Yahweh. This crazy, I'm going to take everything out of you. Well, here I'm continue to read this. And he continues. He was out of his mind. He says, therefore I will cause and take my corn that I gave you, and my wine that I gave you, and my wool and my flax that I had given to cover her nakedness. And the worst thing, that Yahweh has a lot of power that is not like common men. He does as he pleases us. He wants to make your life impossible. He's going to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Who can stop him? Who can stop him? Only he can stop himself. Well, there are people that stop him, like Moses. We're going to read that later clearly, that you already know. He stops Yahweh with all his power, with all his glory. With all his anger, he stops him. And now I will discover. He couldn't stop him first. You see, I read you a chapter. He said, go down, go down. Moses there tries a defense. I already told him, no, go there, back. Either way, he couldn't stop him there. But in the next one, he stops him dry. He stops him. But we'll read that in the following chapter, since it is going to be 10. A nice round number. And now I will discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. He was blinded and insane, completely filled with jealousy and anger and hate and everything that precisely we should not have. Be perfect as I am perfect. I will cause all her mirth to cease. This would seem to be this mafioso speaking, right? Where you abandoned me, I'm going to go to your lover's house and take their light out. I will send these plagues that will affect them entirely. And to top it off, I will leave her naked. That's what Yahweh's speaking. I will cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, take all the food. Wherefore she had said, these are my rewards. You see, when a woman says, in the end of it all, I was married with you for so long, this is my reward at least. I gave you all my life. This is my rewards. Rewards that my lovers had given me, and I will make them a forest. And the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her days of incense Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, saith Yahweh. Forgot me. What would Yahweh do for her? Terror, fear, sacrifices. 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness. Here, Yahweh starts to speak differently. He notices that the broad left, and the only thing he could do is punish her. But he says that there comes a time in where he says, therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness, the same wilderness he took her last time. Because he took her out of Egypt like a slave, took her to the wilderness, and then he gave a great display of the great I am, and I am the man, a brutal man with no pity, and you have to fear me. And so he has to take her back to the wilderness. But now speaks to her differently. He learned, Yahweh learned, because he is healed, because this is what happens at the end. What happened now? But behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her heart. Oh, wait. Yahweh, apparently these were not Yahweh's words. Yahweh does not speak to her heart. Yahweh speaks through thunders, earthquakes, and yelling and darkness. But now he says that he's going to take her back to the wilderness, and this time it won't be a display of power, but what? That is how you conquer a woman, not in the other way. That's the way. You see that there's a change in Yahweh. It's not the same Yahweh. Because it's the same Yahweh, but he acts differently. It's not the old Yahweh. Now, he changed. Yes, what were you going to say? No, the therapy's for him. He had the therapy. Because the wife didn't do anything. They just spoke her, yelling her with fear and curses. Of course, because to say if you touch it, I'll kill you, that's a curse. So then, didn't do anything. The therapy was needed for him, not the wife. When he noticed that nobody ever would love him, nobody ever, not the wife or the Egyptian, no one. He noticed that the one that needed therapy urgently was him. Yahweh in the therapy, and the therapy was to come to earth. Everything, it was out of control. I can imagine that the angels look at him saying, and that is what you created. Out of control, absolutely out of control, no control. And he says, I'll control here, flood, throw down seven, make 7 holes here, and I'll flood them. Did he cure them? No, because he left 8 microbes, and those 8 populated the whole earth, and we're getting to 8 billion. We're 8 again, but instead of 8, now it's billions, 8 billion, 8 billion. It didn't cure anything. Everything is 1,000 times over worst. So then he notices that the one that has to be cured, the one that has to change his tactics, the one that has to change his way of thinking is he. When he die, when he come back to life, then he notices that he has to go and seek his wife. Once again, the same thing, the same one that rejected him. He's going to look for the same one because he divorces Israel, but he marries Israel once again. The woman is the same, exactly the same one. And all of us would have acted in the same way. I can assure you. I have stopped to think what would happen if Yahweh comes and sets that mountain on fire and tells me, oh no. I'd send him to fuck off. As you hear me, my words, I'll tell him to fuck off. For Yahweh to come and tell me, sacrifice your son to me, I'll tell him to go fuck off, extremely fuck off. If he comes with that way of trying to, I would have acted, and you should have acted just like Israel acted. Don't think that you're better than those Israelites. We're the same ones. Depending on how they speak to us. To a woman, you can make her a demon entirely or an angel that's beautiful, whatever you want. And to something that melts and is desirable, or to something that it's like a cat with the nails out. Depending how the man acts. Do we agree in that? So then Yahweh had to change. So then takes her back to the wilderness. This time the wilderness is the US of A. It's all prophecy that's so beautiful. But now it won't be a display of power, but rather he's going to speak to her heart. And I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Acre for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. He notices that it's kind of like he goes back in time. And in the time that he's going to conquer her again, he changes entirely. So then who changed, we or he? He entirely. That is how it's confirmed what I have been teaching to you. I want to read this text to you in the New International Version, and in the Spanish DHH it reads as follows. Hosea 2:13 through 16. Exactly. There's no better place in the world than the US of A. Whether you like it or not, there's no better place. No place that is more sure with so much abundance like here. There isn't, doesn't exist. Here, there's abundance, and there's abundance. From the whole world, they have to bring their abundance to the US of A, exactly. And here's we enjoy certain fruits and vegetables that they can't even enjoy elsewhere because they are made for the US of A. Whether you like it or not. That's why I love the US of A so much, because that is why he had to bring his wife. This is fulfilled to the letter. So then I'll read in the NIV, which I love, Hosea, I shall call her into reckoning for the days she burned incense to the false gods. She decked herself with rings and jewelry and went after her lovers, forgetting me, declares Yahweh. Therefore, I am now going to seduce her, but he never did before. He noticed that the rest did seduce, not him. So now for the first time, he's not going to be the same one that comes with the power under penalty of death, but rather he's going to seduce her. That is what a woman wants. A woman wants a man to come based with striking and power and threats. Sex. Tonight I want sex. For example. And he grabs a knife, and if I don't have it, there are consequences. Can you imagine an insane dude like that? The woman, do you think she can get turned on like that? As soon as she's able, she's gonna run out to the cops, and that crazy guy's gonna say, "Nah, you're going with those guys because that's how a crazy guy is." Now Yahweh changes. He changes, and he says, "I will seduce her. I'll take her to the desert, to America, and speak with her tenderly." When did Yahweh speak with tenderly? It's all contrary. You know, I want you to see how this confirms in a way that's absolutely 100% exact. And I tell you, because Yahweh revealed it to me, or else we could not even see him. Because Yahweh now acted in a way that is hugely, completely contrary to how he acted before. The people are the same. Now he comes to seduce her and speak tenderly to her. Did he speak to the people tenderly? No, not tenderly. Sanctify yourselves. Can you imagine for a husband to say to the wife, wash yourself and sanctify? I mean, it's a disaster. Brings her to the yes and give her freedom of speech. Freedom of expression. Exactly. Gives us freedom of expression. Exactly. To speak whatever you want. Before she had to speak through the Kohen, which sometimes it's a good word in Spanish, sacerdote, which sounds like huge hog. Now it has changed. The DHH, the Spanish DHH, I will punish her for her day she burned incense to the idols, when she would deck herself with rings and jewelry and following after her lovers, forgetting me. I, Yahweh, affirm this. I will enamor her. Another word. Instead of seducing her, it says that he will enamor us, something that he never did before. I will take her to the desert, which is America. Here he enamors us and speak to her heart. When did Yahweh speak to the heart before? Never, never. Elohim, now who is cured with all his egotistical self and his vanity, he's cured. Now he speaks to us with love. You do not enamor. He enamors us with tenderly because we're his wife. And he continues on 16. Because this is what is taking place now. Exactly. I no longer have to go and speak to him through priests or through prophets. I can directly have a direct communication with him. The US of A is rather the best part of all the earth. It is absolutely clear it is. 16. In that day, because now we're in the time in which he speaks to us, now he enamors us, and now he makes us to understand. You see how we're understanding? This is fundamental before he comes to understand it. I don't know if you can see that. We had to understand it, that of Yahweh. In that time, Yahweh says, in that time, when you understand that I come to enamor you now, that there's nothing obligation, the laws are in the garbage can. That's what he's saying. Now, if you love me, those laws, I like those, because the laws are good, really. But they're not good in the time that they obligate me under penalty of death. I could have a lot of good rules, but if I threaten you with penalty of death, I make it bad. Do you understand? Very well. So then it says, in that time, Yahweh says, you call me Ishi. Wow, you'll call me Ishi. Barely then will we call him Ishi. We always call him Baal. Lord, Lord, all powerful, Lord, Lord, you beastly, egotistical, and jealous Lord. Same thing, beastly and all powerful. What a difference is there? This is beastly power. Same thing, same thing. So then it says, now you'll call me what? In that time, Ishi. And Ishi means my man. It doesn't even mean husband. This is my man, my man. And never again will you call me Bali. What is Bali? My Lord. It's always my Lord, my Lord, my Lord, all powerful, my master, my jealous master. He comes to kill me if I don't keep your commandments. all your laws. Now he says, you'll no longer call me my Lord. Now you see that we had studied this before in this whole series, but now once we understand the change of Yahweh, we see how he changes his wife. Because I will take away from her mouth the names of the Baals, and never again will they be mentioned ever again. In that time I will make unto thee a covenant with the beasts of the field, with the fowls of heaven, and with the serpents of the ground. Wow, some of those serpents. There's a serpent. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth. And this is what comes in eternity, and make you to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. And yeah, I will be, for those things that it's symbolical, this is not symbolical, this is real, because he's talking about real. There, really, he's going to take us as a wife. Unto forever will be the wife of Yahweh. The wife of Yahweh in a literal way. And I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, judgment, loving kindness, and mercies. He never showed any of those things in Sinai. Nothing. He showed death, threats, pain, noise, all kinds of things. I will even betroth thee unto my faithfulness, and thou shalt know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, and I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. Jezreel means the earth of Israel, Jezreel. They shall respond unto Jezreel, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them, Lo ami, you are my people, and he shall say, my Elohim. Very well. Really, here, really, it is confirmed in an incredible way what we've been studying. And next Shabbat, to end with the Germanic medicine and the SPS of Yahweh, I'll read other texts that I had prepared to read to you in the part of Moses that I'm going to continue on, that Moses can stop Yahweh. And really, it is gratifying, extremely so, to understand how Yahweh changed. How Yahweh changed. Because if we take the Torah as a measure, we take that Elohim that gave the Torah as a measure, and the Elohim that gave the Torah as a measure changed. And he no longer wants to treat us like he would treat the people of the Torah, his wife, but rather he enamors us now. Do you understand the difference? Entirely, he enamors us very well. And start practicing what I've taught you of reliving and pardoning. It is fabulous. Play with it. Be serious. Practice with it. And you will fix every trauma that you have with people. I'll show you other things later, but you're going to fix resentments or true resentments, wraths, energies, and Yahweh precisely wants us to change. He's done many of these therapies to stop feeling the wrath against his wife and to comprehend and relive that if his wife left, it was his fault. There was no other one to blame than he. But once he understood all of that, we have completely a different person that comes to enamor us, that comes to seduce us, that comes to speak to our heart, absolutely contrary to the experience that the people of Israel had in the Mount Sinai. And he takes us to the desert again. You see, it's impressive. He relives that moment, but this time he does it correctly. This time he does it in the correct way. And after doing it in the correct way, his wife, which are we, he responds in the satisfactory way that he wants and takes us as a wife. That's the next thing. Very soon, the wedding or the true wedding of Yahweh comes, of which all of us want to take part. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Let us finish with a word of prayer. Blessed be thou, beloved husband of ours. We give you thanks because you have left all this story written for those who have the truth in their minds, for your Spirit takes us to all truth. Lord, we give you thanks because we comprehend your change. We comprehend really that now you seduce us. That is why we love you. That is why really we are crazily in love with you. We love you with all our heart, with all our mind, and all our strength, because you are our only husband. Alleluia, Lord. And I ask you that you don't make us wait so long, that you come to look for us in order for us to be able to marry you. All this I ask of you in the name of our husband, Yahweh, Yeshua HaMashiach. Alleluia. We shall meet again next Shabbat. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Start to practice what you learned today. Next Shabbat, I'll teach you something that is rather astonishing as well. Alleluia to every one of you.